Chapter 1405. 1405 Xiaoyao City was destroyed. Everyone else was also completely stunned. The sudden appearance of the water steward, a terrifying 5th-level profound void martial artists. In addition to the Invincible City Lord, there were 2 5th-level profound void martial artists guarding the city. They weren't afraid even when facing a 5th-level profound void martial artist. However, in just an instant, when everyone's faces were filled with excitement, the water steward was suddenly covered in energy. Evidently, there was a Type 5 void interpretation expert that they did not see, and he was holding the butler back. As for the city lord, he was instantly turned into a 50-meter-long creature. Run, run! All of the families and experts in Xiaoyao City were terrified, and all of the forces of the 7 to 8 dynasties revealed expressions of fear. Without the city lord and the rest, how could they fight? If they fought, they would die. Therefore, they could only run. They ran crazily without any desire to fight. Leave no one alive. Ao Chitian roared and completely reversed what they had just said. Just now, they had shouted that they would kill everyone in the Dragon Palace and leave no one alive. Now, the Dragon Palace also changed back. The huge ocean-pacifying needle smashed down. The terrifying power instantly created a huge pit 1,000 meters in front of them. In the pit, a rank 1 profound void realm expert died instantly. Young City Lord, run, run. The current butler of Xiaoyao City, a rank 4 profound void realm expert, came to the young City Lord's side when he saw the battle. He grabbed his body and shouted, "Run, yes, quickly run, quickly run." At this moment, the young City Lord's face was extremely pale. He completely lost the arrogance from before, and his face was filled with panic as he shouted loudly, "Run, quickly run. Want to run? Can you escape? Today, everyone can forget about escaping." Mao Zedong's voice sounded out, and a terrifying arrow shot out. The surrounding arrow aura directly annihilated over a dozen people and directly attacked the young City Lord. "Damn it, hold him back. I'll bring the young City Lord away." The Xiaoyao City butler who was protecting the young City Lord shouted loudly. However, no one paid attention to him. He looked around, and his eyes instantly looked like they were about to split open. In Xiaoyao City, including him, there were a total of 5 insightful void 4th-level void martial artists. Currently, all the 4th-level void martial artists were trapped by at least 20 powerful insightful void martial artists. As for the 3rd-level profound void martial artist, he was also surrounded by many profound void martial artists. As for the 1st-level profound void martial artist, he was killed quickly. Those who hadn't reached the profound void martial stage, let alone the 4th-level profound void martial artist, were like lambs waiting to be slaughtered. Run? Where did... In less than a minute after the battle broke out, more than 10 1st-level profound void martial artists were killed. As for the elites of Xiaoyao City, thousands of them were killed. "Young City Lord, be careful, stay behind me." The butler of Xiaoyao City shouted at the young City Lord with cold sweat all over his face, facing Mao Zedong's attack directly. "Young City Lord." A golden swordfish at the profound void tier held a golden longsword, his eyes revealing a cold expression. The longsword in his hand directly attacked the young City Lord. No, no, no. The young City Lord's face was filled with terror as he stared at the longsword that was attacking him, and he shouted loudly, "One!" When the longsword landed in front of him, the protective array that his father had placed on his body was activated. The protective array of the profound void tier 3. "Brother, hand him over to me, I'll kill him." At this moment, an angry voice came from behind him. The golden swordfish turned around and looked at him with a smile on his face. "Okay, I'll leave him to you." As he spoke, he moved and charged toward the enemies of Xiaoyao City. "You lowly fellow, you actually want to kill?" The young City Lord stared at Duan Jinming with his eyes wide open and roared loudly. "In a while, our Dragon King will kill your father. Without your father, Who do you think you are? You call me lowly, but who do you think you are in front of me? Duan Jinming roared furiously, and 10 arms appeared behind him in an instant. Each arm was emitting golden light and fiery red flames. He was like a mythical creature. He raised a fiery red flame hammer and directly attacked the young city lord. "Oh, you bastard, get lost!" The young city lord shouted in terror. Hong! With a loud sound, the flame hammer landed on the array in front of him. Ripples appeared on the array. Hong hong hong. Another 3 terrifying attacks. A strong killing intent shot out from Duan Jinming's eyes. Crack, crack. Soon, the sound of the array formation breaking was heard. "No, no, don't kill me." Seeing the array formation in front of him breaking, the young city lord cried out for help with a face full of fear. However, all the people of Xiaoyao City were being massacred by the members of the Dragon Palace. How could they have time to care about the young city lord now? Bing! At this moment, the mayor of Xiaoyao City heard his son begging for mercy in the sky. He widened his eyes and shouted coldly, "If you want to kill my son, die." His entire body trembled. He waved his arm and a dazzling wind radiance seemed to be able to tear space apart as it slashed toward Duan Jinming. "You dare to be distracted while fighting with me?" On the opposite side, Wang Xian opened his mouth and the 5 elements millstone appeared. A stream of destructive energy attacked the wind radiance. But the energy collided and the wind radiance vanished instantly. "Suppress. Today, you shall be destroyed along with Xiaoyao City." Wang Xian roared loudly. The 5 elements millstones spun and streams of terrifying energy attacked the mayor of Xiaoyao City. There were even streams of energy shooting towards the 4th-level Insightful Emptiness Realm experts of Xiaoyao City below. They were standing at a height of 10,000 meters while the rest of the Insightful Emptiness Realm experts were at a height of 4,000 to 5,000 meters. The entire sky above Xiaoyao City was like the end of the world. Be careful, be careful. At this moment, the 4th-level Insightful Emptiness Realm experts who were battling with dozens of Dragon Palace experts below were horrified when they saw the destructive energy that was suddenly shooting towards them from the sky. They let out a terrified roar. Ah! Ah! However, there were still 2 4th-level Insightful Void martial artists who were unable to dodge Wang Xian's attack despite being besieged by the members of the Dragon Palace. 2 miserable shrieks echoed in the sky. What? How is this possible? At this moment, in the sky, the mayor of Xiaoyao City, who had hundreds of long swords revolving around him, was shocked when he saw the scene below him. "Hee, I can easily distract myself from dealing with you." Wang Xian swayed his huge body and spoke to the mayor of Xiaoyao City calmly. The mayor of Xiaoyao City's expression changed slightly. He took a deep breath and his eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Ah! At this moment, the young mayor's desperate screams could be heard from below. Chapter 1406. 1406 Xiaoyao City was being destroyed. The young city lord is dead. The young city lord is dead. The young city lord is actually dead. It's over, it's over. In the sky, 2 profound void 4th-rank lords were killed. When the young city lord's miserable cry sounded, everyone in Xiaoyao City looked in that direction. In their eyes, beside the young man from the profound void 3rd-rank Firehammer clan, their young city lord's corpse lay there. The young city lord's eyes were filled with disbelief. Perhaps he would never have thought that he would die in the mouth of the despicable race that he spoke of. Perhaps the entire Xiaoyao City would never have thought that the disaster in Xiaoyao City was caused by the despicable race that they spoke of. "Soldier!" The city lord of Xiaoyao City roared with a face full of grief and indignation. His eyes slowly turned blood red and the hundreds of see-through swords beside him let out a clanging sound. "The trial has begun." Wang Xian stared at the mayor of Xiaoyao City, swayed his body, and said with a smile on his face, "Do you really think that I, Xiaoyao Mountain, have wasted more than 100 years of my life? Go to hell. The mayor of Xiaoyao City roared loudly with a ferocious expression. The void interpretation swords spun one after another, bringing with them an intense sharpness as they streaked across the sky. 5 elements millstone, spin. Wang Xian's eyes revealed a cold expression. The 5 elemental whetstones with a radius of 2 kilometers above his head smashed towards the 5 elemental whetstones. Bang bang bang. The 5 elemental whetstones with a radius of 2 kilometers had a thickness of several hundred meters. When the 5 elemental whetstones landed on the whetstones, not a single trace was left behind. Hee, with the strength of the nameless sword demon, you have only been around for more than 100 years. Bing Hanzi has been around for more than 4,000 years, yet he was still killed directly. From below, the people from the Bamboo Mountain sect looked towards the sky. When they saw Wang Xian transforming into that terrifying creature, the pitch-black millstones started to spin. A smile appeared on their faces. They looked at the mayor of Xiaoyao City with disdain in their eyes. After the short fight just now, they were certain that the mayor of Xiaoyao City was inferior to Bing Hanzi. As for Bing Hanzi, he had already been killed by Wang Xian. This time, we will fight side by side with Lord Nameless Sword Demon. In the future, our Bamboo Mountain sect will definitely rise to the top. The people from the Bamboo Mountain sect looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with excitement. Don't kill me. I surrender. I surrender. At this moment, miserable and terrified cries came from below. They had collapsed. All the aristocratic families and powerhouses from Xiaoyao City had completely collapsed after Wang Xian had killed 2 4th-level profound void martial stage powerhouses. The violent 7 to 8 meter demon monkeys were hovering in the air, holding bows and arrows in their hands. There was also the metal sword principle that was filled with killing intent. The influential families in Xiaoyao City could not withstand a single blow from the elites of the Dragon Palace. In the sky, many profound void martial stage powerhouses were dying rapidly. Their corpses fell to the ground. Some people in Xiaoyao City began to despair. They could not escape from the attacks of the other party at all. Such powerful strength. Is this the member of the Dragon Palace, the other subordinate of the Dragon King? It's so terrifying. My God, we will live with such a group of experts in the future. I can't imagine it. These experts will be our brothers in the future. Our Firehammer clan will rise up completely. We must cultivate well in the future. The Dragon King told us that our bloodline is extraordinary and that we will become experts in the future. In the center of the destroyed manor, more than 2,000 members of the Firehammer clan stood there and looked at the battlefield in shock. The experts of the Dragon Palace who had come to pick them up were killing their enemies like gods of war. They were standing in a pure land in Xiaoyao City. Xiaoyao City is going to be destroyed. It's going to be completely destroyed. All the members of the Gilded Gold clan were standing next to the Firehammer clan. Because they were from the Gilded Gold clan, the Firehammer clan leader had called them here. They saw the familiar clan leaders and the familiar powerful warriors of Xiaoyao City die one by one. Even the young master of Xiaoyao City died at the hands of their future son-in-law. As for Lu Xiaohua, the eldest young master of the Lu family, this kind of person was not worthy of Duan Jinming's personal attack, nor was he worthy of a profound void martial artist's attack. In the first round of attack, he was killed by the members of the Dragon Palace. As for the princes and princesses of the 7 or 8 dynasties, they were like ants here. They were easily killed. Looking up at the sky, one could see the corpse of a profound void martial artist falling from time to time. They were very familiar with those profound void martial artists. I walk in light and darkness, I am the emissary of light, I am the spokesperson of darkness. Darkness and light, cross-kill. At this moment, a bone-chilling voice came from the sky. The voice was filled with killing intent. Everyone quickly turned to look at the sky. About 3,000 meters to the right, the black and white space seemed to have encountered a black hole. Darkness and light connected to the city. The sky returned to normal, and the old man appeared in everyone's line of sight. He was the former water steward of Xiaoyao City, and now a 5th-level profound void-tier powerhouse. According to the water steward, this was his first battle since he broke through. However, at this moment his entire body was in an extremely sorry state, and his body was covered in bloodstains. Around several vital parts of his body, there were almost fatal wounds. At this moment, in front of the water steward, there was a huge waterfall that was about 2,000 meters long, condensed from energy. The waterfall fell from the sky. He stood in front of the waterfall, making the injured him look extremely violent. Milky Way waterfall protection. The butler held a bright scepter in his hand and roared. One. Time and space seemed to be frozen. On the opposite side, the white and black cross flashed and appeared in front of the butler. The cross flashed past. It passed through the waterfall and the water steward. The Milky Way water slowly dissipated. The water steward's body descended from thousands of meters in the sky towards Xiaoyao City. The Type 5 void interpretation expert hidden in Xiaoyao City had fallen. This was the prelude to the destruction of Xiaoyao City. A Type 5 void interpretation expert was killed by a powerful expert of the Dragon Palace. In the surrounding areas, when the residents of Xiaoyao City saw the body descending from the sky, they all trembled. They knew that the era of the City Lord had ended. Whether Xiaoyao City would survive or not was still unknown. Unless, the City Lord can kill all the enemies, but is it possible? A citizen looked at the war in the sky from afar. It could be said that once the order of Xiaoyao City was issued, Xiaoyao City would be destroyed. Chapter 1407. 1407 Xiaoyao City was destroyed. It's over, it's over, it's over. Don't kill me, don't kill me, our dynasty is willing to submit to the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, don't kill me. Our Jin Liang dynasty is willing to submit, don't kill us. The moment a rank 5 void interpretation realm expert was killed in Xiaoyao City, the void interpretation realm experts fighting with the Dragon Palace in the sky fell into despair. The dynasties had been fighting with the members of the Dragon Palace carefully from the beginning. Among them, the death rate was the fewest. Now that they saw this situation, these fence-sitters understood that if they did not submit, they would definitely die. After they died, their dynasties would be trampled to death by the experts of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasties. The experts of the dynasties quickly begged the members of the Dragon Palace for mercy. More than a dozen insightful Void Realm experts huddled together, bowed, and begged the members of the Dragon Palace who were surrounding them with unsightly expressions. At this moment, they did not have the dignity of an expert at all. Facing the nearly 100 insightful Void Realm experts who were surrounding them, they did not dare to retain the slightest bit of dignity. Boom! Kneel down and wait for your punishment. Right at this moment, a huge ocean-pacifying needle swept across the void, carrying a terrifying might. Ao Chitian's 10-meter-tall figure stood in the air, holding the ocean-pacifying needle god in his hand. He was like a wild and mighty general, glaring at all of them. Yes, yes. We'll kneel, we'll kneel. The expressions of the dynasty experts changed drastically. They gritted their teeth and flew down. A rank 3 void interpretation expert knelt on the ground. A crack appeared on the solid ground. The expert lowered his head and knelt there helplessly. Plop. Plop. The experts knelt on the ground. They were all lords, ministers, and generals of the dynasty. They were all prisoners. Below, the members of the Firehammer clan looked at the experts kneeling on the ground. These people were all high and mighty existences. In the past, when they faced this group of experts, they didn't dare to look directly at them and just bowed. Now, they were all kneeling in front of them, waiting for their judgment. We surrender too, we surrender too. When the experts from the aristocratic families in Xiaoyao City saw this scene, they also shouted with faces full of fear. Kill the people in Xiaoyao City. After today, there will be no Xiaoyao City in the world. However, Ao Chitian's violent voice greeted them. Roar, roar, roar. The demon monkey roared and continued the slaughter. After surrendering to more than a dozen insightful Void Realm experts, only a dozen or so insightful Void Realm experts in Xiaoyao City were killed. Among them, 3 4th-level insightful Void Realm experts were struggling bitterly, their faces full of despair. Kill! Another sound of killing rang out. This time, the 300 profound Void Martial Stage experts of the Dragon Palace swarmed forward. Drowned! The last dozen or so profound Void Martial Stage experts of Xiaoyao City were directly drowned by terrifying attacks. In the entire Xiaoyao City, tens of millions of people raised their heads to watch this great battle. They looked at the profound Void Martial Stage experts of Xiaoyao City who were drowned. 1 round of attacks, just 1 round of attacks. The remaining dozen or so figures fell to the ground. Below them, all the elite disciples of the noble families of Xiaoyao City had long been turned into corpses. Almost 10,000 corpses covered the surroundings. This battle lasted less than 10 minutes. A great victory, a complete victory. Everyone even found that none of the members of the Dragon Palace had died. Hiss! The ordinary people in Xiaoyao City looked over with awe on their faces. At this moment, the entire Xiaoyao City fell silent. Endless wind and clouds, 100 swords returning to the sect. At this moment, a violent voice came from the sky. Everyone raised their heads and looked at the sky. In their sight, the city lord of Xiaoyao City was floating in the sky, his clothes fluttering even though there was no wind. Behind him, dazzling long swords were rotating slowly behind him. As the mayor of Xiaoyao City, all 100 flying swords were at the profound Void Realm. The profound Void Realm longswords were paired with the Dharma idol of the 5th level of the profound Void Realm. The mayor of Xiaoyao City unleashed his most dazzling attack. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Kill! The long swords were slowly covered by the energy of the wind attribute. Each longsword was about 1,000 meters long. Over 100 longswords that were 1,000 meters long looked from afar and were filled with a shocking power. Boom, boom, boom. The moment the longswords attacked, the 5 divine dragons let out a roar on the enormous 5 elements grinding mill in the sky. They galloped on the grinding mill, and streams of energy of the 5 elements revolved endlessly. Boom, boom, boom. The long swords landed on the mill one after another. The ultimate of earth, defense. Wang Xian shouted softly. Roar. On the mill of the 5 elements, the earth god dragon roared. The entire mill of the 5 elements emitted a thick and heavy aura as it withstood the attacks of the sharp swords. Roar. The mill of the 5 elements trembled slightly under the attacks. When the last sharp sword landed on it, Wang Xian roared. His 50-meter-long body charged straight at the mayor of Xiaoyao City. Under the sunlight, his dragon scales were shimmering with a luster. He had sharp dragon claws, a majestic dragon head, and a huge dragon tail. Divine dragon tail swing. Wang Xian swept his dragon tail horizontally and charged straight at the mayor of Xiaoyao City with a terrifying force. Carefree wind. The mayor of Xiaoyao City roared and dodged to the side. Can you dodge it? 5 elements restraint. A 5-colored radiance shot out from Wang Xian's eyes. With a wave of his dragon claws, waves of restraining force surrounded him. Not good. The mayor of Xiaoyao City was horrified. The thick wind attribute energy on his body formed an incomparably huge wind shield. However, when Wang Xian's dragon tail landed on it, the wind shield collapsed at a terrifying speed. In close combat, the divine dragon was no weaker than any race. Bang! The terrifying strength caused the body of the mayor of Xiaoyao City to transform instantly. His expression changed drastically as blood spurted out from his mouth. It's over, it's over. I'm not resigned to this. Just you wait, I'll come for revenge. The mayor of Xiaoyao City had a look of fear in his eyes. His gaze swept across the area below and his expression changed drastically. His body moved and he let out a roar before he flew towards the back. You are too naive to think of leaving. Buzz. Wang Xian looked at the mayor of Xiaoyao City who was escaping. The 5 elements millstone above him trembled slightly and charged forward with a terrifying force. The 5 elements millstone carried a terrifying force and landed directly on the mayor of Xiaoyao City. Ah! He roared in pain as his body tried to break free from the 5 elements millstone. However, the 5 elements millstone, which was about 2 kilometers in circumference, pressed against his ant-like body and crashed forward. Boom! An extremely shocking sound was heard. Crack, crack, crack. At this moment, everyone watched in horror as the 5 elements millstone crashed into a mountain peak 10,000 meters behind Xiaoyao City. The mountain slowly cracked open. It slowly collapsed. Chapter 1408. 1408 Terrifying Harvest. Bang, bang, bang. Boom, boom, boom. Behind Xiaoyao City, the 10,000-meter tall peak collapsed, as if it was a sign of the destruction of the entire Xiaoyao City. Rocks rolled down, and the waterfall flowed in disorder. Some sharp-eyed people saw a familiar corpse flowing down the waterfall. Everyone in Xiaoyao City stared blankly at this scene, their eyes slightly widened. The 10,000-meter tall mountain collapsed. Xiaoyao City collapsed as well. Everyone raised their heads and looked at the 50-meter tall terrifying creature in the sky. Their eyes were filled with deep respect. This terrifying creature didn't even have the slightest injury after killing the mayor of Xiaoyao City. Other than the final attack, the rest of the time, he was controlling that terrifying gigantic millstone. Wang Xian scanned the corpse of the mayor of Xiaoyao City and looked down at the entire Xiaoyao City. Roar! He let out a soft roar and the roar of a dragon resounded throughout the entire Xiaoyao City. In the future, there will be no more Xiaoyao City in this world. He let out a loud roar and swayed his body as he descended towards the ground. Buzz! Upon landing on the ground, Wang Xian immediately reverted to his dragon form. Master Wang is invincible. The moment he landed on the ground, the people from the Bamboo Mountain sect rushed forward and shouted loudly. My king is invincible. The members of the Firehammer clan walked forward with fiery faces and shouted respectfully. My king is invincible. After witnessing the strength of their Dragon King and the power of the members of the Dragon Palace, the faces of the members of the Firehammer clan were filled with pride. All right. Wang Xian waved his hand, indicating that they didn't need to say anything more. He looked at the people from the Bamboo Mountain sect and said, You can make a trip back to the sect first before heading to the Imperial Palace of the Dragon and Phoenix Dynasty. Yes, sir. We will report to the sect master and head to the Dragon and Phoenix Dynasty immediately. The experts from the Bamboo Mountain sect nodded in pleasant surprise. They knew that they had made the right choice in this battle. They didn't know the relationship between the Dragon Palace and the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, but they were sure that all the forces within a 100,000-kilometer radius were about to be shuffled. And the Dragon and Phoenix Empire was likely to control all the cities within a 100,000-kilometer radius. Looking at the 300 insightful emptiness realm experts, everyone from the Bamboo Mountain sect was very certain. Your empires should be very clear about what's going to happen next. The Dragon and Phoenix Empire will take over all your cities and sweep through the 6 directions. Wang Xian looked at the dozens of insightful emptiness realm experts who were kneeling on the ground and said without a doubt, Yes, sir. We will definitely cooperate. The experts from the dynasties nodded their heads with bitter expressions. What was supposed to happen had finally come. In this short period of time, they had already made up their minds. The Dragon and Phoenix dynasty had 300 insightful emptiness realm experts. It was not something they could resist at all. In fact, no empire could resist such a terrifying force within a radius of 100,000 kilometers or 200,000 kilometers. It was only a matter of time before they were subdued or conquered. If they wanted to obtain a good position now, they could not be like the Jinliang Empire. The Jinliang Empire was taken care of by the experts of the Dragon Palace previously. Now, not a single one of them was left alive. The Gilded Gold family. At this moment, Wang Xian suddenly looked at the members of the Gilded Gold family. "My lord, I'm here. I'm here." The members of the Gilded Gold family trembled slightly under the leadership of the Gilded Gold ancestor and a level 3 void interpretation stage powerhouse. They hurriedly took a few steps forwards. They knelt on the ground and were filled with respect. "No need. Get up." Wang Xian waved his arm and in an imposing manner made them stand up. "You are guilty." However, on account of the fact that the lady of the Gilded Gold family is marrying the future general of the Dragon Palace, Duan Jinming, you will be pardoned. Now, you will lead the members of the Dragon Palace to collect all the valuable items in the entire Xiaoyao city. They will not be required to hand over the items belonging to the ordinary citizens. In the future, your Gilded Gold family can go to the Dragon Phoenix dynasty and become an official or just a family. Wang Xian said to them calmly. "Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We will definitely atone for our sins." "Thank you, Dragon King." Everyone from the Gilded Gold family thanked him immediately. Gilded Gold Yen was also full of gratitude. The members of the Gilded Gold clan knew that what happened today was not a bad thing for their Gilded Gold clan. In fact, it was a great good thing. With the importance that the king attached to Duan Jinming would definitely become a high-ranking official of the Dragon Palace in the future. And their son-in-law was Duan Jinming. Just this reputation alone could make their Gilded Gold clan stand at the peak of this continent. It seems that we have to curry favor with Yen and this son-in-law in the future. All the members of the Gilded Gold family looked at each other. However, the eldest sister and second brother who stood at the side looked at Duan Jinming and their third sister in a daze. They never thought that a young demon beast, who was lowly in their eyes, would rise to the clouds and soar to the sky. They had never expected that their third sister would become someone that the entire Gilded Gold clan had to curry favor with in the future. This made them look a little embarrassed. One had to know that they usually didn't treat their third sister and Duan Jinming very well. "Lords of the Dragon Palace, follow me. We are familiar with every clan in Xiaoyao City. We will take you there." The Gilded Gold family said to the members of the Dragon Palace. The golden swordfish accompanied them to search for the treasures of the families in Xiaoyao City. All the families in Xiaoyao City had participated in this mission to destroy them. Now that they had been destroyed, the treasures had to be taken away. These families controlled 95% of the resources in Xiaoyao City. Not to mention the mayor of Xiaoyao City. The mayor of Xiaoyao City had a few hundred longswords of the insightful void tier. One could imagine how wealthy he was. According to Wang Xian's estimation, the entire Xiaoyao City was worth at least 10 to 20 trillion middle-grade spirit stones. This was not an exaggeration. One had to know that the items auctioned off in a king's auction were worth 10 to 20 trillion middle-grade spirit stones. As for the 10 to 20 trillion middle-grade spirit stones, Xiaoyao City needed to withdraw 10% of them. That was 1 to 2 trillion middle-grade spirit stones. Just the Xiaoyao City Lord alone had more than 10 trillion resources. Including all the families, it was definitely a terrifying amount of resources. After obtaining all the resources in Xiaoyao City, my strength can almost be raised by 1 level. As Wang Xian thought of this, a smile appeared on his face. Furthermore, the corpses of the experts could increase the strength of the members of the Dragon Palace. After helping Feng Yuan sweep through the surrounding 30 dynasties, the strength of the Dragon Palace would receive a terrifying increase. He moved and flew towards the residence of the mayor of Xiaoyao City, collecting all the items inside. "Dragon King, collect all the items." 2 hours later, the Gilded Gold family led the Dragon Palace to the king's territory in the center and said loudly. Chapter 1409. 1409 returned to the palace. In the king's zone at the center of Xiaoyao City, all the members of the Fire Hammer clan were behind Wang Xian. A group of members from the Dragon Palace and the Gilded Gold clan walked over one after another and handed him interspatial rings. Return to the palace. Wang Xian looked at the items in the interspatial rings. A smile appeared on his face as he shouted softly. The Firehammer clan is located in the center. Gather around. The rest of you, follow on the left and right. Mao Zedong said to everyone from the Firehammer clan. He swept his gaze across the Gilded Gold clan as well as the insightful Emptiness Realm experts from the few empires. Soft roars were emitted from the mouth of the Flood Dragon. The 9 Flood Dragons swayed their bodies and arrived at the front. A dragon chair appeared at the back. Wang Xian moved his body and landed on the dragon chair. Move back to the palace. A golden swordfish shouted softly. The dragon flew towards the dragon palace. Buzz. The people from the Heavenly Eye Arrow Division waved their arms. A strong gust of wind enveloped the Firehammer clan. The members of the Firehammer clan were all at Transcendent Level 4 or 5. Their flying speed was too slow. With the Heavenly Eye Arrow Division's insightful Void Realm expert leading them, their speed wasn't slow either. Boom! When the nearly 4,000 members of the Dragon Palace flew into the sky, their terrifying aura caused the surrounding residents of Xiaoyao City to widen their eyes. Who would have thought that because of the Firehammer clan, the entire Xiaoyao City would be annihilated and all the experts and aristocratic families would die? Even the mayor of Xiaoyao City, the most powerful person in the area of 100,000 kilometers, was killed. The people looked at the disappearing members of the Dragon Palace in awe and shock. Xiaoyao City would be destroyed in name only. Soon, the entire city would be taken over by the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. Dragon Palace. The members of the Firehammer clan floated in the air for 1,000 meters. They looked at the scenery around them and the disappearing Xiaoyao City with yearning in their hearts. The Dragon Palace would be their new place of birth. On the way back, Wang Xian took a whole 4 days to bring over 2,000 members of the Firehammer clan along. Wang Xian told Feng Wan in advance and asked her to pick up a few powerhouses from the dynasty as well as members of the Gilded Gold clan. After that, he brought the Firehammer clan along and headed towards the Dragon Palace. Your Firehammer clan originally possessed the bloodline of the Fire Gold Dragon species and belonged to the aquatic species. Today, you have returned and will be the first to break through the Dragon Gate. When he arrived in front of the Dragon Palace, Wang Xian spoke to all the members of the Firehammer clan. Oh my God, this is the Dragon Palace. This is simply a huge palace located at the bottom of the sea. This area is at least 100 kilometers. It's not much smaller than Xiaoyao City. Furthermore, this building is simply too shocking. I can feel a kind of attraction from the bloodline inside. This will be our home in the future? All the members of the Firehammer clan widened their eyes in shock when they saw the magnificent Dragon Palace in front of them. This huge building that stood at the bottom of the sea was really intimidating. Let's start to break through the Dragon Gate. Not all creatures can enter the Dragon Palace. Those with poor aptitude are not qualified to enter the Dragon Palace. The Firehammer clan leader asked the members of the Dragon Palace for some information on the way and said to all the humans. Yes, yes. The members of the Firehammer clan looked a little nervous as they rushed toward the Dragon Gate. When they entered the Dragon Gate, they felt a strong resistance. However, they had the bloodline of the peak dragon species of the Dragon Palace, so the resistance didn't stop them. What a rich spiritual essence. It's too rich. Wow, is this our Dragon Palace? It's so beautiful. The members of the Firehammer clan entered one by one. Their faces were filled with excitement and excitement. Dragon King. At this moment, Ao Nu and Ao Xia flew over and greeted Wang Xian respectfully. Settle down the Firehammer clan and bring them around the Dragon Palace. Also, get Prime Minister Gue to bring them to the Dragon Pool to increase their strength. Also, let Gilded Gold Yen enter the Dragon Pool as well. Wang Xian said to them. It's the Dragon King. Ao Shrimps and Ao NV nodded immediately. Dragon Pool. Thank you, Dragon King. Duan Jinming and the chief of the Fire Hammer tribe looked excited and immediately shouted respectfully. Hee hee. Wang Xian smiled and flew directly to the location of the Dragon King Hall. Jinming, what is the Dragon Pool? Clan leader, what is the Dragon Pool? Jin Yen and the Fire Hammer clansmen asked curiously. Let the two lords of the Dragon Palace introduce it to you. The Fire Hammer clan leader looked at Ao Shrimps and Ao Nu and said respectfully. There's no need to be so respectful. Our Dragon Palace has the Dragon King's Palace, the Dragon Pool, the Dragon Cave, and the Dragon Field, which are four of the more important venues. The Dragon King's Palace is where the Dragon King handles his affairs. The Dragon Cave is where the disciples of the Dragon Palace live, and the Dragon Field is where they practice their skills. As for the Dragon Pond, it's also called the Dragon Transformation Pond. You can increase your cultivation base and evolve into other dragon species. Ao Nu continued to introduce with a smile, there are currently 4,000 members of the Dragon Palace. Including you, there are a total of more than 6,000 members. Currently, there are 8 leaders. Oh my god, there are actually 600 insightful emptiness realm experts in our Dragon Palace. There are only 6,000 members living in the Majestic Palace within a radius of more than 100 kilometers. Oh my god! When the members of the Fire Hammer clan heard Ao Nu's introduction, they all widened their eyes in shock. The evolution of our bloodline will allow us to become the Divine Dragon Clan. We can easily break through to the insightful emptiness realm, or even higher than that. The Fire Hammer clan leader's face was filled with excitement. Even Gilded Gold Yen was a little absent-minded. Her current strength was only at level 7 of the Extraordinary Realm. She was not considered weak among humans. It might be difficult to break through the insightful emptiness realm in this lifetime. However, as long as one entered the Dragon Transformation Pool, the insightful emptiness realm was merely a starting point. This opportunity was simply too terrifying. Dragon King, Miss Feng Wan and the Dragon Queens are here. Less than an hour after Wang Xian returned to the Dragon King's palace, Prime Minister Gui came to report. Wang Xian, the news you brought this time really caught me off guard. I made a trip to Xiaoyao City and destroyed it. A group of girls followed Feng Wan in. They walked towards Wang Xian with smiles on their faces. How is it? The dynasties within a radius of more than 100,000 kilometers are waiting for you to reclaim them. When are you going to take action? Wang Xian asked with a smile. Are you trying to tire Sister Feng Wan to death? The matters of the 4 empires have yet to be settled and you have started to reclaim the 7 to 8 empires. There are still more than a dozen others. Shu Qing and the rest walked over and said with a smile. I never thought that the Dragon Phoenix Empire would develop so quickly. If I were to develop on my own, even with my past experience, it would take at least 10 years to conquer more than a dozen empires. Feng Wan looked at Wang Xian happily. It was good to have someone to rely on. Chapter 1410. 1410 Year 1410, Breakthrough. How are you going to develop next? Do you need manpower? Wang Xian looked at Feng Wan and asked seriously. If you need manpower, just lend me your guards of the Dragon Palace. I have obtained a lot of resources recently. I will be able to break through to level 4 of the see-through realm in a month at most. By then, I can totally fight against level 5 of the see-through realm. It will be much easier to subdue other dynasties. Feng Wan nodded and said directly to Wang Xian. Sure. Let the strange demon clan follow you during the expedition. Ao Yao's strength can be used to assassinate a 5th-level void interpretation just in case. Wang Xian nodded and said to her. Feng Wan smiled. She knew the strange demon's strength. There were not many strange demons in the Dragon Palace, but their strength was definitely the strongest. Xiao Xian, the few of us have also joined the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. In the future, we will be the 7 elders of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty's Elder Council. Yes, brother. In the future, we will also be the founding ministers of a dynasty. Perhaps the people will build statues for us in the future. In the upcoming expedition, we are prepared to fight on the battlefield with Sister Feng Wan. We will let the people of the extraordinary continent know who said that women are inferior to men. Guan Shuqing, Xiao Yu, and the rest said excitedly. You guys can do whatever you want. Just pay attention. Wang Xian said with a smile. Many dynasties had a group of elders. For example, in the Light Dragon dynasty, the group of elders could decide the position of the crown prince. The elders had a lot of power. Of course, Guan Shuqing and the rest were just having fun out of boredom. With the 5 girls including Shuqing, Xiao Yu, and Zhang Fengying, even the weakest among them was at the first level of the insightful void tier. In the current Dragon and Phoenix Empire, they were all experts. By the way, Feng Wan, I plan to monopolize the forging shop in the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Will this be easy to implement? Wang Xian asked her. Now that the Dragon Palace had the Fire Hammer clan, they were extremely fast in forging weapons. If they monopolized the forging of weapons in the entire Dragon and Phoenix Empire, they would earn at least tens of billions of middle-grade spirit stones every day, or even more. If they used these spirit stones to purchase pills to increase their strength, they would be able to quickly increase the Dragon Palace's strength. Monopolize the weapon industry? In fact, I want to monopolize the pill refining industry. Feng Wan looked at him and revealed a thoughtful expression. The benefits of monopolizing are obvious, especially the pills and weapons. However, there's a problem, the Life and Death Pill Workshop and the Holy Item Forging Workshop. These 2 huge forces will be stationed in every dynasty. If they are not allowed to stay, they will be attacked by the other party. Especially the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. If they really rule over 1 to 200 cities in the future, they will definitely not let this market go. As Feng Wan spoke, she slowly frowned. How big are the forces of the Life and Death Pill Workshop and the Holy Item Forging Workshop? Wang Xian asked Feng Wan. On the mainland, these 2 influences are only weaker than the 5 empires. Each of them has a person in the realm of longevity overseeing them. Feng Wan frowned slightly. The realm of longevity, the existence of a demigod. Wang Xian also frowned. Now that they were facing such an existence, there was absolutely nothing they could do. The Life and Death Pill Workshop and the Holy Item Forging Workshop said that they wanted to enter your dynasty and open a shop there. If you didn't agree, the other party could completely eliminate you in the dark. There is one way, and that is to get the Fire Cloud Sparrow clan to make a move. In the past few years, I have gotten the Fire Cloud Sparrow clan to make a lot of preparations. However, there is a problem. The Fire Cloud Sparrow clan can only withstand the attacks of their top-notch experts. However, if the other party uses some tricks in the dark, it would be very troublesome for us. Feng Wan's eyes sparkled as she said, Then what do you do? Wang Xian looked at her. Initially, we only monopolized the medicinal pills and didn't defend the Holy Item Forging Workshop. However, since you want to monopolize the weapons, I will get the Firelark clan to make new preparations. At most, we should be more careful. The strength of the Firelark clan is not weak. Feng Wan smiled and made a decision. All right. Wang Xian nodded. Let me know when we can enter the weapons market. I will prepare immediately. Okay. Feng Wan nodded and said, I have to take care of some things. Wait, I have something for you. As Wang Xian spoke, he threw a bead that was half bright and half dark to Feng Wan. This bead was a treasure that Wang Xian saw in the system treasury. It was called the Light and Dark Source, and it was exchanged for 10 million dragon crystals. This treasure was very magical. It could sense the loyalty of the other party to him. Nowadays, the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty was developing rapidly. Some of the powerhouses who were subdued had no loyalty at all. Using this light and dark source, one could detect whether a person was loyal to him or not and whether it was harmful to him or not. This thing was very useful to Feng Wan. There was a prerequisite to this. The use of the bead required the dripping of the other party's blood. So magical? Feng Yuan took the bead and revealed a look of surprise on her face. Soon after, a smile appeared on her face. With this light and dark source, it will save me a huge amount of trouble. Feng Yuan smiled and left the palace. Wang Xian dragged the group of girls and started to stay on the couch for a few days. For the rest of the time, Wang Xian stayed in the palace. Currently, the sea area within a few thousand kilometers was under the control of the Dragon Palace. The number of members of the Dragon Palace was increasing every day. However, the increase was not much. At most, 10 creatures could pass through the Dragon Gate and enter the Dragon Palace every day. A month later, the Dragon Phoenix dynasty started their journey. The Dragon Phoenix Queen led her troops and the 7 elders were all at the Void Interpretation level. In addition, there were 15 generals at the Void Interpretation level and 20 swordsmen at the Void Interpretation level. In addition, the entire Bamboo Mountain sect followed the Queen. A total of 80 Void Interpretation experts led 30,000 soldiers to battle the surrounding dynasties. 7 or 8 of them had already surrendered, and in just 2 months, 8 of them had surrendered. However, the Dragon Phoenix dynasty did not stop and continued to expand. After breaking through 8 dynasties, the number of Void Interpretation experts that Feng Yuan had sent out reached 150. With Feng Yuan, who could fight against a rank 5 Void Interpretation expert, no dynasty could withstand their attacks. The entire Dragon Phoenix dynasty expanded at a terrifying speed. After Feng Yuan broke through cities and dynasties, a large amount of resources were sent to the Dragon Phoenix Royal City and the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Phoenix Royal City continued to expand. They vowed to build the Dragon Phoenix dynasty into the most magnificent and beautiful city. When some of the dynasty's resources were sent to the Dragon Palace, coupled with the resources Wang Xian obtained from Xiaoyao City, the amount of dragon qi he needed had reached the level of leveling up. During the war, the corpses of the experts were also sent to the Dragon Palace. The members of the Dragon Palace were also improving rapidly. Chapter 1411. 1411 Year 1411. Breakthrough. In the vast Dragon Palace, Wang Xian, who had transformed into a divine dragon, was lying on the huge dragon throne. His entire aura shook, and the majesty of a king spread throughout the entire Dragon Palace. His figure grew rapidly, from 50 meters to about 70 meters. The scales on his body were even more resplendent, and the huge dragon horns were even more mystical. Ding! Congratulations on your breakthrough in your speed level. As you have comprehended the strongest aspect of the 5 elements, the great grinding of the 5 elements has further strengthened your dragon claws. Ding! Congratulations to the host for comprehending the aspect of the dragon kingdom in your palm. Name: Wang Xian. Race: 5 elements divine dragon, able to transform into a human. Level: 2nd level of the Void Interpretation stage, 3rd transformation of the Divine Dragon transformation. Dragon Crystal 1276400/100000000000000. Supernatural ability: ruling the water tribe that is lower than one's own level. Devouring creatures to extract dragon crystals. Control of the 5 elements. Cultivation method: divine dragon transformation. Supernatural ability: soul capture, spirit possession, light and dark fire dragon eyes, light and dark void, light and dark shadowless, light and dark. Aspect: 5 elements grinding, controlling the dragon kingdom. Possessing the Dragon Palace, level 3. Members of the Dragon Palace, 6,396. I've finally made a breakthrough. In the Dragon King's hall, Wang Xian let out a sigh of relief. A faint smile appeared on his face. He stared at his dragon claws. Wang Xian did not obtain any special aspect for this breakthrough. Controlling the Dragon Kingdom was only a matter of how strong he was. When he strengthened his physical body and unleashed his Dragon Kingdom, his dragon claws could turn into a radius of 2 to 3 kilometers. The claws contained terrifying 5 elements energy. The effect was the same as the 5 elements millstone. However, the 5 elements millstone leaned towards long-range combat, while controlling the dragon country was considered close combat. Looking at his dragon claws, Wang Xian could feel that his dragon claws had undergone a powerful upgrade after this breakthrough. Each of his 9 claws contained terrifying power. Since ancient times, 9 claws were the pinnacle. Be it the 9 claws or the 9 transformations of the divine dragon, they represented the peak. The current me should be able to kill a level 6 see-through expert easily. As for a level 7 see-through expert, I'm not his match. Wang Xian moved and swayed his body. His huge body was filled with strength. His body moved and transformed into a human form. Congratulations to the Dragon King for his breakthrough in strength. The members of the Dragon Palace have absorbed the resources this time and obtained a huge increase in strength. This time, the number of the members of our Dragon Palace who are experts in the Void Interpretation realm has also reached 1,500. The leaders have achieved another breakthrough in strength. Prime Minister Gui walked over and reported to Wang Xian with a smile on his face. To be able to receive such a huge improvement in just over a year, it's really not bad. Wang Xian revealed a satisfied look on his face. It had been a year since Wang Xian returned from Xiaoyao City. During this 1 year, he had never left the palace. He had been cultivating in the Dragon King Palace and dealing with some matters in the Dragon Palace. Today, his strength had finally achieved a breakthrough. Compared to the Dragon Palace, the Dragon and Phoenix Empire had developed the fastest in this 1 year. A year ago, Feng Yuan had swept through more than 20 dynasties. Now, the Dragon Phoenix dynasty had become a colossus. There were more than 200 cities under the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. There were more than 300 void interpretation experts in the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. The number of void interpretation experts was not weaker than the old dynasty, the Light Dragon dynasty. If the current Dragon Phoenix dynasty wanted to expand further, it would be difficult for it to expand unless it competed with the dynasties around the Human Demon Graveyard. Let's make a trip to the Dragon Palace of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. Shu Qing, Xiao Yu and the other girls really think that they are the elders of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. They stay in the Dragon Phoenix dynasty every day. A smile appeared on Wang Xian's face. His body moved and he flew out directly. Dragon King, are you going to the Dragon and Phoenix Royal City as well? As soon as he flew out of the Dragon Palace, Wang Xian saw Duan Jinming returning from the outside. He asked respectfully with a simple and honest face. Yes, I haven't been out for a long time. I'll make a trip there. How's the situation with the forging of the Dragon and Phoenix now? Wang Xian nodded with a smile and asked. Dragon King, everything is normal. We are earning more than 20 billion middle-grade spirit stones every day. Duan Jinming smiled and said, Yes, thank you for your hard work. Wang Xian nodded his head. No hard work, no hard work. Duan Jinming smiled and shook his head. In the current Dragon Palace, the weakest group of people were the members of the Fire Hammer clan. Even so, half of the members had already reached the half-step void interpretation stage. The rest were all at Transcendent Level 9. There were more than 20 people who had reached the void interpretation realm. After monopolizing the weapon industry of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, the Fire Hammer clan could bring 20 billion middle-grade spirit stones to the Dragon Palace every day. They continued to fly toward the Dragon Phoenix Imperial City. Compared to the previous cities, the Dragon Phoenix Imperial City had expanded a lot in more than a year. Now, it could be said to be the most prosperous and majestic city within a radius of hundreds of thousands of kilometers. It's Lord Wang. Hello, Lord Wang. Greetings, Lord Wang. On the city wall, the city guards who were guarding the city saw Wang Xian's figure and immediately greeted him respectfully. Although Wang Xian had not been here for a year, his image was deeply etched in the hearts of everyone in the Dragon and Phoenix Royal City. Everyone knew that the Dragon and Phoenix Empire was able to develop to this day because of this Lord Wang. Wang Xian nodded his head lightly at them and flew directly towards the palace. "Master Wang, are you going to look for the queen? Please follow me." A palace guard walked over respectfully and led Wang Xian towards the imperial study room of the palace. "Master Wang, the queen is in the imperial study room." The guard walked Wang Xian to the door and said respectfully, "All right, I'll go in by myself." Wang Xian nodded and walked straight in. "Your Majesty, this is the final ultimatum from our life and death elixir workshop and the forging formula for the holy relic. If you don't allow us to enter the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, don't blame us for being impolite. Our life and death elixir workshop and the forging formula for the holy relic have stood for 7,000 to 8,000 years in the Transcendence continent. There isn't a single empire that dares to shut us out. You have to consider it carefully." "Of course, I have already considered it carefully. I know what I want to do with the empire that I have conquered. Since our Dragon and Phoenix Empire has the ability to monopolize the elixirs and weapons, why should we hand it over to others?" Wang Xian had just stepped into the imperial study when he heard a voice coming from inside. "Since the Dragon and Phoenix Queen is so stubborn, don't blame us for being impolite. I hope your empire can survive for a little longer." Ha! A maniacal laughter came from inside. Following that, Wang Xian saw 5 middle-aged elders walking out from inside. A few of them had angry looks on their faces as they walked out in a huff. Wang Xian looked at them and raised his eyebrows slightly. Chapter 1412. 1412 came to the imperial study in disguise. They are just like a bunch of robbers. They don't want to pay anything and want to enter the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. Isn't it just having 8,000 to 9,000 years of history? So what? The disgruntled voices of a few girls came from inside. Wang Xian glanced at the group of people who had left. What's going on? Why are the people from the Life and Death Pill Workshop and the Holy Item Forging Workshop here? Wang Xian entered the imperial study room and looked at the group of girls inside. He asked in puzzlement, "Xiao Xian, you're here?" The group of girls immediately revealed a look of joy when they saw him enter. "The Life and Death Pill Workshop and the Holy Item Forging Workshop are here to issue an ultimatum. After rejecting them this time, I reckon they will use some means." Feng Yuan frowned and said to Wang Xian, "What's wrong? Can't the fire lark stop them?" Wang Xian frowned as well and asked worriedly, "Stopping them is only temporary. Although the other party cannot directly send experts to destroy our dynasty, they can use their powerful forces and financial resources to target us." Feng Yuan's eyes flickered. Just now, I had already taken a step back and was willing to cooperate with them. 70% to 30%, but they still didn't agree. These two forces are too overbearing. If the other party were to play some tricks, it might bring a great disaster to the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Wang Xian frowned and looked at her. According to the style of these two forces, they might not want to play any tricks. Instead, they would directly suppress them with a powerful force. Feng Yuan guessed, "If it's a direct confrontation, we can still deal with them. We still have to increase our strength." Wang Xian's eyes were sparkling as he said, "With his current strength, he could fight against a 6th-level void interpretation. This strength was considered pretty good, but it was only limited to the region of Flowing Sea. If it was placed in the vast region, or even the region of the 5 empires, it would not be enough. Forget it. We will be flooded in the future." Feng Yuan shook her head helplessly and rubbed the space between her eyebrows. In the past year or so, there were simply too many things that she needed to worry about. The Dragon Phoenix dynasty had just risen, and there were simply too many things that needed to be dealt with. "Sister Feng Yuan, didn't you say that you wanted to go out and take a stroll in disguise? Why don't you ask little Xian to come with you and we'll take a good stroll around these great rivers and mountains?" Little you said with great interest. That's good too. Some cities reflect some things, so we can go and take a look too. Feng Yuan nodded. Politics did not happen overnight. Some policies were implemented, but whether they were implemented or not, Feng Yuan did not know. If she wanted to truly understand, she still needed to personally go and take a look. To experience the people's livelihood and see the hardships of the people, she could better solve the problem. Only then would the entire dynasty support the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty even more. Although this world was a world of martial arts, powerful martial arts could suppress everything. However, the prosperity of a dynasty depended not only on martial arts, but also on policies. Those who gained the hearts of the people would obtain the world. After gaining the hearts of the people, the geniuses, and experts from a city would want to join the dynasty and the army. Naturally, the dynasty would become stronger and stronger. All right, I've stayed in the Dragon Palace for a year. It just so happens that I want to come out and have a look. Wang Xian nodded and said with a smile. Then let's get ready and set off. The group of girls said happily. The third year of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty calendar, the Dragon and Phoenix Queen visited in disguise. The Dragon Phoenix dynasty is courting death. How dare they shut us out of the life-death pill workshop and the holy item forging workshop? If it wasn't for the problems in the central continent, we would have sent out experts to destroy them. Do they really think that they can ignore us just because they've unified more than 20 dynasties and have more than 200 cities? Now that the Dragon Phoenix dynasty doesn't put us in their eyes, we'll let them know the consequences. Otherwise, there might be more dynasties that don't put us in their eyes in the future. Each and every small dynasty dares to be so arrogant. The Lord Manager has already learned about this. The Lord Manager has already gone to the Blood Flow dynasty. Blood Flow dynasty? Could it be that our Lord Manager wants the Blood Flow dynasty to make a move? If our life and death pill workshop and the holy item forging workshop join hands, besides strength, we also have financial resources. As long as we can bring out something that makes the Blood Flow dynasty interested, they will make a move. At this moment, outside the Dragon Phoenix Empire, 5 people rode on void interpretation level beasts with cold expressions as they flew into the distance. They wore the clothes of the life and death pill workshop and holy item forging workshop, and they emitted a faint killing intent. From ancient times until now, other than the powerful empires, no dynasty would dare not let their life and death pill workshop and holy item forging workshop enter. The Dragon and Phoenix Empire was one, and it was only one dynasty. A dynasty? Did they really think that they could match up to the Empire? What a joke! The location in front is the Ice and Snow Empire. The closest city to us is the Wind and Frost City. The first city we went to was here. Feng Yuan was in disguise. Wang Xian and the 7 girls had followed her out for 3 days and arrived at the first city. It was a city 50,000 kilometers away from the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. This city could be considered to be far away from the emperor. Feng Yuan mainly wanted to come to these cities to take a look. Wow, this city is dressed in plain silver. It's so beautiful. The few girls looked at the city in front of them and said with sparkling eyes, "Keep a low profile when you're there. All of you are traveling incognito, not tourists." Wang Xian reminded them when he saw the group of girls in high spirits. "Hee, we can also enjoy the scenery." The group of them came to the city that was covered by snow and wind and landed on the ground. Apart from Wang Xian and the group of girls, Feng Yuan also brought 2 people. One was Meng Hong and the other was an old lady. The old lady was also a powerhouse at the level of the see-through void tier. She was also at level 4 of the see-through void tier. She was an elder of a dynasty. After she was subdued by Feng Yuan, she was kept by her side because she had the highest loyalty. Meng Hong's strength had also reached profound void tier 4, and he was one of the pillars of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. The group walked toward Wind Frost City. As a city, there were quite a number of strangers coming and going, so many people were curious about them. After all, most of them were great beauties. This city is so beautiful. There's snow everywhere. It's so unique. After entering the city, the group of girls looked around curiously. Make way, make way. At this moment, two berating voices came from behind. Huh. Feng Wan and the others hadn't gone far when they heard this unscrupulous voice, causing her to frown slightly. The carriages pulled by the snow beasts sped forward. Feng Wan looked at the carriage, slightly displeased. Chapter 1413. 1413 was secretly visiting in disguise. Your Majesty, there are some unfair things in every place. You are ambitious, but your policy time is still too short. It needs some time to ferment. The old woman standing behind Feng Wan whispered when she saw the queen's slightly unhappy look. I know that some things can happen, but they must be changed in the future. Feng Wan nodded her head. She took a glance at the carriage and continued walking forward. The Snow and Wind dynasty, which used to be cold and freezing, belongs to a dynasty where the people are more valiant and simple. There are many martial artists with water and mutated ice attributes born here. Feng Wan introduced to Wang Xian and the rest. Some of the people in the surroundings were wearing thicker clothing compared to other cities. The temperature here was at least several tens of degrees below zero. For many of the younger children, the weather was still very cold. The few of them came to the most luxurious restaurant in Wind and Frost City, looked at the beautiful scenery around them, and ate some food. I heard that the Wind and Frost Lake in Wind and Frost City is very beautiful. Let's go and take a look later. Guan Shuqing looked at some information about Wind and Frost City on the communication stone plate and said with a smile. Sure, we'll stay in Wind Frost City for a few days anyway. Feng Wan said with a smile on her face. Then let's hurry up and eat. I heard that you can skate on it, hee. The group of girls became interested. After eating, they walked toward the central Wind Frost Lake again. When they came to the Wind Frost Lake, they found over 1,000 young men practicing martial techniques on the lake. Not far away from them, there was an academy, the Wind and Frost Academy. Within the academy, many students were practicing their martial techniques within the Wind and Frost Lake. It was a scene of prosperity. There are so many people, there should be at least 100,000 people. Shu Qing and the others walked towards the frozen lake with interest, grabbing the surrounding snow. Within the lake, there were many children. The laughter of children filled the sky above the Wind and Frost Lake. Hua hua hua. At this moment, the sound of a carriage came from behind. More than 10 huge carriages stopped in front of the Wind and Frost Lake. It's time to collect the clear spirit grass. All parents, bring your children over. At this moment, more than 20 middle-aged and old men stepped out of the carriage, and their voices echoed in the surroundings. It's time to collect the clear spirit grass. Hurry, hurry. Quick, quick, son, come here. Mommy will bring you to collect the clear spirit grass. Thank you so much, Your Majesty. One by one, the middle-aged men hurriedly brought the children around them and walked towards the carriage. Feng Wan looked over and a trace of a smile appeared on her face. Mommy, I want it too. Child, we are not qualified to collect it. When your father breaks through to the transcendent realm, we will be able to collect it. Oh. Child, you have to cultivate well in the future and become a powerhouse. We can buy these things ourselves. At this moment, the sounds of mother and son conversing could be heard from the side. Wang Xian and Feng Wan looked over. Two mother and son dressed in simple clothes stood at the side and looked in the direction of the carriage. Feng Wan frowned and looked at the surroundings. She noticed that a few children were looking at the carriage with eager faces. Sister Feng Wan, if I remember correctly, the clear spirit grass is produced in Qingling Mountain. Although it's only an extraordinary first-grade spiritual grass, it's very effective for children. The dynasty invests at least 1 trillion middle-grade spiritual stones every year and gives the clear spirit grass to all children for free. What? Sun Lingxiu's gaze swept the surroundings, and she frowned as she looked at Feng Yuan. Some people are courting death. How dare they covet something like this? Feng Yuan slowly shook her head and walked towards a boy who was dressed in shabby clothes. Little friend, where's your father? Feng Yuan walked over, wearing a veil, and asked the little boy with a smile on her face. Mom and Dad are working. They are working. Let's go, Auntie will take you to get the clear spirit grass. Feng Yuan said to her with a smile. I can't get it. Dad said to buy it for me to make my body better. The little boy shook his head and said to Feng Yuan. This made her slightly stunned, and her face slowly darkened. Bye. Let's go, Auntie will take you there. Feng Yuan held the little boy's hand and walked towards the carriage. The little boy wanted to break free, but after Feng Yuan turned her head and smiled at him, he immediately followed behind. Sun Lingxiu followed behind. Wang Xian shook his head and ignored her. Feng Yuan was disguised as a private visitor. She wanted to find out the problem and solve it. He wasn't surprised to encounter such a matter. Hello, we are here to collect the clear spirit grass. Feng Yuan walked over with the little boy and said directly. What's your name? The middle-aged man in front of the carriage asked without raising his head. Ming Ziyang. Feng Yuan looked at the little boy and the little boy said directly. Ming Ziyang? There is no such name. The middle-aged man raised his head as he spoke and looked at the little boy. He frowned and said impatiently, Don't you know your name? You are not on the list to receive it. Why can't I receive them? Feng Yuan asked directly with a cold face. If I say I can't, then I can't. I didn't expect you to dress up pretty well. Your child is so sloppy. Hee, woman, with the money to dress up like this, I can buy clean spirit grass for your child. The middle-aged man looked Feng Yuan up and down and said with a smile. According to the law of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, every 6 to 12-year-old child can receive a clean spirit grass every month. Why can't we receive it? Feng Yuan stared at the middle-aged man and coldly said, If you can't accept it, then you can't accept it. Get lost quickly, or don't blame me for being impolite. The middle-aged man heard Feng Yuan's words and sternly berated her. Do you know what will happen if you violate the law of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty? Feng Yuan coldly asked them. Are you courting death, woman? Decree? We are the decree. We risked our lives to bring the pure spirit grass here from tens of thousands of kilometers away. It's easy for us. I'm warning you, get out of here quickly. Otherwise, you'll spend a few days in the prison. Someone with such delicate skin like you is absolutely welcome. Ha! The middle-aged man said arrogantly to Feng Yuan, which made the surrounding middle-aged men and elders burst into laughter. We are acting according to the orders of the higher-ups? What? You want to sue us? Go ahead. A burly elder walked over directly and said to Feng Yuan with a cold expression. Aunt, the decree says so, but not everyone can receive it. There are also conditions. If I can't receive it, I don't want it anymore. The little boy saw the fierce middle-aged man and spoke with a face full of fear. At the side, some families who came to collect the clear spirit grass frowned at this scene. No one dared to say anything. Sue you? Then I want to see who gave you the order. Feng Yuan sneered when she heard their arrogant words and looked at Manhong. City Lord of Wind Frost City, get your ass over here. Chapter 1414. 1414 disguised as a private visitor. Wind Frost City, City Lord, get your ass over here. An angry shout came from Manghong's mouth, and his voice instantly resounded throughout the entire Wind Frost City. The group of middle-aged elders standing in front of Feng Yuan were stunned. When they felt the loud and clear voice from Manghong's mouth, they felt a bad premonition. Especially when the burly man behind the veiled woman actually shouted for the city lord to get his ass out. In Wind Frost City, this was a matter of treason and courting death. If one didn't have the strength, they definitely wouldn't dare to be so arrogant. Oh! At this moment, in a warm room, The city lord of Wind Frost City, who was watching a group of beautiful women dancing, heard this shout, and his expression changed slightly. Insightful Void Realm expert. The eyes of the city lord of Wind Frost City flickered. Who dares to cause trouble in Wind Frost City? His figure moved and he directly appeared in the sky above the city lord's mansion. He coldly shouted. In an instant, everyone in Wind Frost City was stunned by these two shouts. The citizens of Wind Frost City raised their heads with stunned expressions and looked at the city lord above the city lord's mansion. Everyone in Wind Frost Lake also looked at the position of the carriage with stunned expressions. Oh, who are you people? The dozen or so people in front of the carriage stared at them with their eyes wide open. City Lord of Wind and Frost City, come here immediately. I have something to ask you. Feng Wan raised her head and looked at the sky above the city lord's mansion as she said with a twinkle in her eyes. Her clear and cold voice once again resounded throughout the entire Wind and Frost City. This voice. When the city lord of Wind Frost City heard Feng Wan's voice, his eyes widened slightly and his pupils couldn't help but shrink. His body trembled and he hurriedly flew over. From afar, when he saw Feng Wan's figure, the old woman behind her, Meng Hong, and a few familiar figures in the surroundings, he felt his vision go black. Her Majesty, Her Majesty. His voice trembled as he hurriedly flew over and directly knelt on the ice-cold surface of the lake. What? Your Majesty? The Dragon and Phoenix Queen? That's our queen? My God, the queen. When everyone around saw the city lord kneeling on the surface of the lake in fear and trepidation, their faces revealed shock. It had already been a year since the Snow Wind dynasty was subdued by the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. However, this was the first time they had met Her Majesty the Queen. Moreover, it was done in this way. Your Majesty the Queen, please spare my life. Your Majesty the Queen, please spare my life. The dozens of middle-aged elders in front of the carriage instantly had their foreheads filled with cold sweat. They knelt on the ground and shouted in fear. Your Majesty the Queen. Everyone in the surroundings was prepared to kneel on the ground. You don't have to kneel. Feng Wan waved her arm, causing the surrounding people to be unable to kneel down. This method caused the surrounding people to widen their eyes and be filled with shock. Half a year ago, I gave an order that the children of my Dragon and Phoenix dynasty can enjoy the transcendent rank 1 clear spirit grass for free to wash their bodies and become the foundation of an expert. But when I came here, some of the children can't receive it for free. Why must there be conditions? The dynasty takes out trillions of middle-grade spirit stones every year just to lay a solid foundation for the children. When the youth is strong, the dynasty is strong. City Lord Feng Shuang, you are plotting against the future of the dynasty. Feng Wan's face was ice-cold as she stared at the city lord of Feng Shuang City. When City Lord Feng Shuang heard Feng Wan's words, his face was extremely pale as he said in fear, Your Majesty, I don't know about this matter. It has nothing to do with me. No matter what, you have already derelict your duty. I think you don't need to be the city lord anymore. I will thoroughly investigate this matter. If it has something to do with you, if you have done other things that harm the people, then you will be punished according to the laws of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. Feng Wan waved her arm, and a ring of fire flew directly toward the city lord of Wind Frost City. No, Your Majesty, no. The city lord of Wind Frost City's expression changed greatly, and he shouted out in terror. Xiuqing informed the Prime Minister to send a profound void martial artist to take over the position of the city lord of Wind Frost City. Meng Hong, go investigate the matter between the spirit grass and the city lord of Wind Frost City. Feng Wan ordered the old woman and Meng Hong beside her. It's Your Majesty. The two nodded respectfully. I am the ruler of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, and you are the citizens of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. As citizens of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, you will enjoy all the benefits and policies of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. As officials, you must love the people, and as citizens you must own the country. The dynasty will ensure the safety of everyone's lives and allow everyone to live as happily as possible. I hope that the people of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty will become stronger. The Dragon and Phoenix dynasty has a complete promotion system, especially the young people. The future Dragon and Phoenix dynasty will belong to your era. Feng Yuan's gaze swept across everyone as she spoke in a deep voice. Thank you, Your Majesty. Our life this year is already much better than before. That's right. Be it the education of our children or the free distribution of goods, this is something that we didn't dare to imagine in the past. Thank you, Your Majesty. The citizens shouted at Feng Yuan excitedly. I am the people. Only the people can be for me. Water can carry a boat and it can also overturn it. Among you, there might be a pillar of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty in the future. Do your best. As Feng Yuan spoke, she gestured to Wang Xian and the group of girls before flying directly towards the city lord's mansion. I didn't expect that a queen would actually say that I serve the people. Only the people can serve me. Water can carry a boat and it can capsize a boat. In the lake, a teacher who was teaching students looked at the figure in the sky with a face full of respect. Compared to a year ago, our lives are much better. I didn't expect that the queen would personally come today and even imprison the city lord. This is a powerhouse at the profound void tier. According to the decree that has been issued for many years, if it is fully implemented, then our lives in the future will be even better. The queen is secretly visiting us in disguise. She came to our city and directly crippled the city lord. This is a good king. In the future, I want to cultivate well. I want to become an expert. I want to fight for our dynasty. The appearance of the queen made everyone in Wind and Frost City look excited. Especially those few words of the queen. They had the urge to die for those who were close to them. I serve the people. Only the people can serve me. Compared to the reign of the Snow Wind dynasty, the current Dragon and Phoenix queen was simply too good. 4 days later, when the new city lord arrived, all the items that were confiscated by the previous city lord were distributed to the people. 4 days later, Feng Yuan, Wang Xian, and the rest left Wind and Frost City. On the Wind and Frost Lake, an ice sculpture that was 200 meters tall was erected. The ice sculpture was a woman wearing a veil. It was lifelike and full of majesty. This was the Dean of the Wind and Frost Academy. He personally carved it for the Queen of Dragons and Phoenixes. This was to express his respect for the Queen. This is also one of the most important landscape of Wind and Frost City in the future. It is also the first stop of the history of the Queen in private. Chapter 1415. 1415. What is a heaven's pride? 1. Tingfeng City, Hanyang City, Lingwei City. In the following days, Wang Xian, Feng Yuan, and a group of girls walked past one city after another. In these cities, they met arrogant families and rich second-generation children who wanted to molest Xiao Yu and the group of girls. Their results could be imagined. As the queen of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, it was no exaggeration to say that she controlled the lives of billions of people in the entire Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Those who committed crimes within a city were directly eliminated. There were also kinder families and experts with great ambitions who were directly recruited by Feng Yuan and conferred as ministers of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. They walked through dozens of cities consecutively and used nearly 100 days. Along the way, they also browsed through the scenery of the various cities. In this competition, I must obtain a spot in the top 10. Only then will I have a chance to enter the Dragon and Phoenix Imperial City and battle with the geniuses of more than 200 cities in the entire dynasty. Competing with the heavens favorites from more than 200 cities. Just thinking about it makes me very excited. If I can reach the royal city, I will have a chance to meet the Queen. Her Majesty the Queen is a peerless expert at the 5th level of the see-through void realm. I heard that Her Majesty the Queen is secretly visiting in disguise. In the past few months, she has visited dozens of cities. Some families and city lords who have bad manners have been punished. I really want to see the queen's heroic bearing. I want to see it too. I wonder if there's a chance. In front of a huge city, Wang Xian, Feng Wan, and a group of girls walked onto a spacious road and walked into the city ahead. In the surroundings, young men who were filled with fighting spirit rode on their mounts and walked into the city in high spirits. This is Flaming Sun City, once the imperial city of a dynasty. Now, this city is one of the top 5 cities in the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. This is also the furthest city from our Dragon and Phoenix Imperial City. It's more than 100,000 kilometers away. Walking on the road, Feng Wan introduced the city to Wang Xian and the rest with a smile. It seems that this place is only about 100,000 kilometers away from the cemetery of humans and demons. Wang Xian looked around and said, "Yes, this place is very close to the cemetery of humans and demons." Feng Wan nodded and looked towards the east. The area within 200 to 300,000 kilometers around the tomb of the humans and demons is the most glorious place in the flowing sea region. Wang Xian nodded slowly. That was indeed the case. There were 4 top-notch forces, 1 dynasty, and 1 sky sword sect that was close to the dynasty. Your Majesty, it seems that the results of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasties prodigy competition are pretty good. Meng Hong, who was sitting at the side, looked around and said happily, "Yes, it's going well. It will be held every 3 years. In this way, our Dragon and Phoenix dynasty will have an endless stream of experts." Feng Wan also nodded in satisfaction. As soon as they entered the city, a lively atmosphere blew over. The discipline and order of this Flaming Sun City is quite good. Guan Shuqing and Xiaoyu glanced around and found that this place was much better than other cities. Now that news of the Queen's private visit in disguise has basically spread in the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, which city lord or family member dares to be impudent? Meng Hong said with a smile. This atmosphere is good. It seems that there will be a prodigy competition here in the next few days. We can watch the competition, Shu Qing, Xiaoyu, and the rest of the girls were filled with energy along the way. There was a constant flow of delicious food and beautiful scenery. If they saw anything good, they would immediately buy it. This was just like a woman shopping. She was full of energy. Even Feng Wan was not immune to it. Under the guidance of a few girls, she bought many beautiful clothes, rouge, and gadgets. Wang Xian was in a good mood when he saw how happy they were. That's not bad. Let's treat it as a martial arts competition performance. Wang Xian laughed and echoed from the side. Everyone laughed. Once they entered the center of the city, the management of the entire Flaming Sun City was in place. It was basically harmonious. As the former imperial city, there were many strong people and powerful families here. The group of them looked for many restaurants but could not find a place to stay. Hence, they bought a manor. This was their last stop. The first Heaven's Pride competition of the Dragon Phoenix Empire was about to be held in the Dragon Phoenix Royal City. Feng Wan was going to appear during the competition. Xiao Xian, Sister Feng Wan, we got more than 10 admission tickets for tomorrow's competition. Look, they are at the front row. Wang Xian, Feng Wan, and Sun Lingxiu sat in the courtyard of the manor and sipped their tea. Xiao Yu and Shu Qing, who were full of energy, came back with tickets in their hands and said happily, All right, let's go and take a look tomorrow. Wang Xian nodded with a smile. I heard that the night scenery of Yenyang City is very beautiful. Shall we go out for a walk tonight? Xiao Yu pulled Wang Xian's arm and said, You guys are really full of energy. Wang Xian shook his head helplessly. All right. Feng Wan nodded her head with some interest. Wang Xian was even more helpless. In the evening, they arrived at a new city. Everyone was filled with novelty. Xiao Yu and Shu Qing, who were the most excited, held their communication stone plates and looked at the tour guide. Let's go to the shore of Hero Lake first. That is the most famous lakeside in Yenyang City. There is a saying that if you can't reach the shore of Hero Lake, you are not a hero. Let's go, Xiao Yu said loudly. The group of people naturally didn't have any objections and walked towards the so-called Hero Lake. So many people. The group of people came to a lake that only had a radius of 5 kilometers. Only then did they know what it meant to have a lot of people. The Waning Moon young master from the Waning Moon City is in front. Quick, quick, let's go and have a look. The Waning Moon young master is the #1 prodigy in the Waning Moon City. He can definitely rank in the top 3 or even #1 in this prodigy competition. Young Master Nanfeng, Young Master Qianjun, and Goddess Huahua are all at the front. They are all strong contenders for the first place. At this moment, the voices of young men and women could be heard from the surroundings. Especially some women. Their eyes were glowing as they walked forward like they were chasing after a star. The atmosphere here is pretty good. Wang Xian looked around and revealed a faint smile. Let's go and take a look at the heaven's favorites in this competition. Xiao Yu walked forward with great interest. Wang Xian and the rest followed behind. Your temperament is extraordinary and your head is prominent. All of you are the heaven's favorites in the Flaming Sun continent. In the upcoming competition, the heaven's favorites will compete for supremacy. I wish all of you young masters and ladies the best. Ha, Miss Huahua, you don't have to be so humble. Everyone knows your strength. There are not many people who are your match in this competition. Just as they got closer to the front, Wang Xian and the rest heard loud and hearty laughter. The laughter was filled with ease. Wang Xian and the rest looked over. There were more than 20 young men under a pavilion by the lakeside. Some of them were sitting, some were leaning on bamboos, and some were holding wine flasks. All of them were extraordinarily handsome. Many of the people around looked over with admiration and respect. A group of level 8 transcendents. There are even a few level 9 transcendents among them. They are not bad. Wang Xian looked over and commented indifferently. Chapter 1416. 1416. What was a heaven's pride? 2. A young genius at level 8 or 9 extraordinary was already a very dazzling existence in a dynasty or a city. Especially a level 9 extraordinary, it was enough to establish a pretty good family. Even if it was in a capital, it was still the same. It's still pretty good. These are all talents that can be molded. Teach them well, at least half of them can reach the insightful void realm. Feng Yuan looked over and slowly nodded her head. These people were the top geniuses among the 7 to 800 million people. To be able to reach the 8th or 9th level of the extraordinary realm was also a dragon among men. However, these so-called heaven's favorites were a little weak by Wang Xian's standards, especially when compared to the heaven's favorites in the tomb of the human demon. In the tomb of the human demon, one must have the strength of a half-step insightful emptiness realm if they wanted to enter the top 20 of the heaven's favorites list. Even many young people at the half-step void interpretation realm couldn't enter the prodigy role. Perhaps there would be a half-step void interpretation realm prodigy in this year's prodigy competition of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, but obviously, there was no such person here. Let's go sit down and eat something to enjoy the night view. Xiao Yu and the others were dispirited when they saw the so-called prodigies. In their eyes, the strength of the so-called prodigies was even weaker than the weakest of the Dragon Palace. All right. Everyone nodded and went to a pavilion at the side. They ordered some food and drinks. Soon, the sound of music could be heard from the small lake. In the lake, a woman was holding a guzheng and playing a song. A young man from the group of heaven's favorites was waving a long sword on the water with great interest. Inxian, I haven't heard you play the guqin for a long time. Wang Xian looked at Tang Inxian and said with a smile. That's right, sister-in-law Inxuan's guqin is like a dream. Sister Inxian, do you want to play a song? Wang Xian opened his mouth and looked at Tang Inxian. The girls were also staring at her with great interest. Since husband and the other sisters want to hear it, I'll play a song for you. Tang Yinxian was all smiles. She was originally from the Heavenly Note sect, and she had also comprehended a special sound wave energy from the dolphins. The music she played could make one feel as if they were in a fairyland. Tang Yinxian waved her arm gently, and a guqin at the third level of the void interpretation realm appeared in her hand. This guqin was called the bell. It was the name of the first guqin that Wang Xian gave her, and it had been used ever since. Ring, ring, ring. The guqin floated beside Tang Yinxian. Her slender fingers moved slightly, and in an instant, the surroundings seemed to have quieted down. What a pleasant sound! When Tang Yinxian's guqin rang, everyone around was slightly stunned. Their faces were filled with astonishment. Even the surrounding heaven's favorites looked over hurriedly. What a beautiful melody, it can actually affect a person's mind. Everyone was slightly shocked as they quietly listened. The sound was pleasing to the ear and went straight to the mind. Tang Yinxian was playing a cheerful piece of music to express her feelings. When the surrounding people heard his music, they could not help but smile happily. In the lake, the young sword-wielding heaven's favorite seemed to have gained some enlightenment, and the sword technique in his hand became even more agile and agile. Sister Yinxian, the young man in the lake has realized something and is about to break through. Give him a hand. At this moment, Feng Wan sensed the fluctuations from the sword-wielding young man in the lake, and a strange look appeared in her eyes as she whispered to Tang Yinxian. Oh! Tang Yinxian looked at the young man in the lake, and a smile appeared on her face. Good fortune. She lowered her head slightly and her fingers moved quickly. The sword in the young man's hand became more and more dreamy. Streams of water followed his sword technique and a blurry image appeared behind him. A crescent moon reflected in the lake. Look at young Master Xiaoye's sword technique. My God, has he comprehended something? Is he going to break through? Young Master Xiaoyu has comprehended something. Is he going to become the number one half-step void interpretation expert in our flaming sun continent? Everyone around had shocked expressions on their faces as they stared blankly at young Master Xiaoyu in the lake. Even the group of heaven's favorites had shocked expressions as they stared at young Master Xiaoyu in the lake with their eyes wide open. He's still a little bit away, but he'll definitely break through within 2 days. Feng Wan looked at him with a hint of admiration in her eyes. It was not bad for the Dragon and Phoenix Empire to have such a young half-step void interpretation expert. Ha ha. Not long after, when the sound of Tang Yinxian's guqin disappeared, young Master Xiaoye in the lake laughed out loud with excitement on his face. Young Master Xiaoye, you've broken through? Under the pavilion of the group of heaven's favorites, a lady asked with a twinkle in her eyes. Not yet, but I'm almost there. Ha. Young Master Xiaoye placed the treasured sword in his hand back into its scabbard and laughed happily. His eyes looked towards the pavilion of Wang Xian and the rest. When he saw Tang Yinxian, his eyes lit up. His body moved and he flew straight towards Wang Xian. The sound of this lady's guqin is truly like the music of the heavens. If it wasn't for her celestial voice, I wouldn't have been able to comprehend it. Xiaoye, thank you again. Xiaoye Gongzi came to the pavilion and cupped his hands towards Tang Yinxian. Xiaoye Gongzi actually went to look for the lady who was playing the guqin. I have to say that the sound of the guqin just now was really like the music of the heavens. This is the best guqin I've heard. Wow, look at that beautiful woman playing the zither. She's so beautiful. She's like a goddess in the sky. The few women beside her are also very beautiful. Why are there so many beautiful women? The surrounding people looked over. When they saw Tang Yinxian and the others, their faces were filled with astonishment. There's no need. Tang Yinxian shook her head lightly. I wonder how old you are, where are you from? Young Master Xiaoye looked at Tang Yinxian and asked again. My sister-in-law. At this moment, Xiaoyu suddenly said, causing young Master Xiaoye's face to stiffen. This lady, sister-in-law? This. Young Master Xiaoye's handsome face was obviously stunned. He asked hesitantly, I wonder if you are married? But what else do you want to do? Xiao Yu asked mockingly. Naturally, it's a fair competition. Young Master Xiao Yu puffed out his chest as he spoke. He looked at Wang Xian, who was the only young man in front of him. I believe this brother is this lady's boyfriend. You are also here to participate in the Heaven's Favorites competition? Why don't we spar a little? I would like to see what qualifications you have to be favored by such a beautiful lady. Wang Xian looked at this young Master Xiaoya and smiled. Let's go, husband. Tang Yinxian held Wang Xian's arm and winked at him with a smile. Let's go, let's go. There are too many people here. The group of girls also stood up with a smile and walked out. Coward, if you're a man, let's spar. Young Master Xiaoya's expression changed slightly. He gritted his teeth and shouted at Wang Xian. I will get the title of the #1 Heaven's Favorite in Flaming Sun City. I'm the most outstanding young man. When the time comes, miss. He was a little unwilling to admit defeat as he spoke. However, when he saw Wang Xian, Tang Yinxian, and the rest leaving without turning back, his expression changed. Young Master Xiaoya clenched his fists tightly. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. When everyone around saw this scene, they were slightly stunned. This Xiao Yu Gongzi actually fell in love with a woman. However, the other party already had a boyfriend and didn't care about him at all. This was gossip. Chapter 1417. 1417. What is a chosen one? 3. Sister Inxuan's charm is really great. All of you have great charm. To be able to meet all of you is the blessing of my life. That's right. A group of people walked on the streets of Flaming Sun City with smiles on their faces as they chatted. They strolled until 12 o'clock before they returned to the manor where they were staying. As night fell, the entire Flaming Sun City was extremely quiet and filled with harmony. This was the most harmonious city they had ever come to. The customs of the people and the city lord's manor were very good, and there were no rich family disciples who were courting death to provoke them. Even if they met a young prodigy who wanted to pursue Tang Yinxian, their attitude was still considered very good. Let's go and watch the competition. The next morning, Xiao Yu, Guan Shuqing, and the other girls said excitedly. Let's go, I also want to see the strength of some of the geniuses in the Flaming Sun continent. Feng Wan nodded and paid a private visit in disguise. She naturally wanted to go and take a look at such important matters related to the dynasty. She wanted to see the venue and the strength of the younger generation of the dynasty. After eating some simple food, the group walked towards the Academy of Flaming Sun City. Flaming Sun City Academy was the largest academy in the entire Flaming Sun continent region. It was also the most luxurious academy. The dean was an expert at the second level of the see-through void tier. In this prodigy tournament, not only would the dean appear, even the mayor would come to watch the final match. When Wang Xian and the rest arrived, they realized that there were already more than 100,000 people gathered in the surroundings. As the first prodigy tournament held by the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, the prizes that were presented were extremely precious. Once one could enter the Dragon and Phoenix Royal City, one could basically become the general of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire in the future. This was a dream for all the youths. The surroundings of the entire competition ground were very lively. Many people sat on their seats and watched. In the arena, there were 5 arenas competing at the same time. The arena in the middle was the largest, having a radius of more than a kilometer. This competition came from more than 20 cities. Only the top 5 geniuses of each city had the qualifications to come to Flaming Sun City for the competition. Among the 120 geniuses from each city, only 10 had the qualifications to enter the Dragon Phoenix Royal City for the final competition. At that time, there would be 200 geniuses from the 20 continents battling each other. Come, our seats are at the front. Everyone came to the front. Today is the first Heaven's Pride competition of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. It's also the beginning of the battle for the geniuses of our Flaming Sun competition zone. You are from our Flaming Sun competition zone. Before the start of the competition, an old man floated at the front. More than 100 geniuses from more than 20 cities came to the arena. The old man was the city lord of Flaming Sun City, a third-level insightful void-tier powerhouse. The city lord opened with a long opening speech, and then the competition began with the announcement of the principal of Flaming Sun Academy. Draw lots and fight. Young Master Xiaoye, young Master Xiaoye. Qianjun will definitely win. Goddess Huahua, I love you. If you get first place, I'll marry you. Beat this guy up. When the geniuses from the various cities drew lots one by one, the audience cheered for them. They cheered for the geniuses they liked and thought highly of. Great-grandfather, what are we doing here? Are we watching their match? With their strength, I'm not saying that I can defeat all of them by myself. With their strength, they still dare to call themselves geniuses. If they were placed in the Ladyboy graveyard, they would become a joke. At this moment, in a spectator stand around the arena, 5 or 6 people were sitting in a corner. A young man lazily looked at the 100 or so geniuses in the arena, his eyes filled with arrogance and disdain. In his opinion, he could easily crush these so-called geniuses. They weren't qualified to be called geniuses yet. Only people like him were truly geniuses. There will be a huge change in the monster graveyard. The monster race is restless. There's news that some monster race wants to establish a monster dynasty. However, the monster race isn't unified. Some monster race don't agree. They want to split up like humans and establish a dynasty. Right now, there is a huge battle going on inside the demonic beast graveyard. An old man standing beside the young man frowned and said slowly with a solemn expression, "A few 100,000 demonic beast races want to establish a dynasty? This is really interesting. Isn't it better for them to fight among themselves? It will just weaken their own strength." The young man said with a curious smile, "As the saying goes, if you don't destroy it, you won't be able to establish it. If you destroy it, you'll be able to establish it later. This isn't a good thing for the humans in the Human Demon Graveyard or even the Flowing Sea region. In the Transcendence Continent, the 10,000 Fey Empire. You can see that they have the least number, but they are one of the 5 great empires. Once the demon beasts in the Human Demon Graveyard are unified, they will erupt with terrifying might. We have to make some preparations in advance. Although the strength of the young people here cannot be compared to the geniuses in the Human Demon Graveyard, each of them is a talent that can be molded. In the future, they won't be inferior to others." As the old man spoke, his gaze swept over the few young people on the arena, and a satisfied expression appeared on his face. "It's great-grandfather. Great-grandfather, you've come personally. It's not easy to recruit some disciples. Our bloodstream sect's reputation is placed here." When the young man heard the old man's words, his expression turned solemn as he spoke arrogantly. The old man faintly nodded his head. The mutation in the monster-human graveyard would definitely affect the human side. And as the top faction in the monster-human graveyard, they were able to get to where they were today because they had a sense of danger. With the rise of the demonic beasts, they had to make preparations in advance and recruit more geniuses and experts to prepare for the future. When they came to Flaming Sun City, they happened to find out that the Heaven's Favorites competition was being held here. Let the competition begin. At this moment, on the 4 arenas, there were already 8 young geniuses standing. The battle of Heaven's Favorites had already begun. Wang Xian and the rest were watching it with great interest. Although their battle seemed extremely childish in the eyes of Wang Xian and the rest, it was just like an adult watching a child fight. It was also filled with fun. Cheers and cheers could be heard from the surroundings from time to time. The atmosphere of the entire competition ground was extraordinary. Wang Xian and the rest watched more than 10 matches in the morning. In the afternoon, the group of girls felt bored and went to some gourmet restaurants in Flaming Sun City to eat delicious food. The next morning, the group returned again. The competition was only for 2 days. In other words, 10 Heaven's favorites would be born in the afternoon and would head to the Dragon and Phoenix Empire to participate in the finals. That person called Xiaoye, Qianjun, Lu Fengwen, Zhou Hai, and Nangong Huahua are all at Transcendent Level 9. They should be able to rank in the top 5. Meng Hong stood at the back and watched the competition. Chapter 1418. 1418. What was a chosen one? For, they are not bad, but there is another young man who is very good. That young man in tattered clothes has very good skills. He should have just broken through to Transcendent Level 8, but his rich experience almost caused Qianjun to fail miserably. This young man should not be from a good family. In time, he won't be inferior to that Xiao Yu. The old woman at the back said to Meng Hong with a smile. When this generation of prodigies rises up, our Dragon Phoenix Empire will become better and better. Meng Hong laughed happily. The selection of the top 10 has ended. Congratulations to Xiao Yu, Qianjun, Zhou Hai, Lu Fengwen, Nangong Huahua. He Yiqing and the other 10 prodigies. You will represent the Flaming Sun continent to Dragon Phoenix Royal City to participate in the final competition. At that time, you will compete with the other continent's prodigies. In the afternoon, the 10 prodigies will have a ranking. Who will be able to become the king of the prodigies of our Flaming Sun continent? Everyone, let's wait and see. On the stage, the teachers of Flaming Sun Academy announced loudly. I didn't expect that other than that young man from Daybreak Moon, there's also a good seedling. At this moment, in a corner of the stage, an elder from the Bloodstream sect said in slight surprise. Oh, there's more? Great-grandfather, didn't you say that Xiao Yu is about to break through to the half-step void interpretation realm? Who else could it be? The arrogant youth beside the old man asked in surprise. That plain-clothed youth, He Yiqing, didn't take too many pills from his body. He has rich battle experience and should have fought in the wild. He's a good seedling. The old man lightly stroked his beard and said with a smile. Is that so? The youth looked over curiously. The duel in the afternoon didn't drag on for too long. 2 hours later, the competition continued. This time, it was the battle for the top 10 rankings. It was much more exciting than the one in the morning and yesterday. Every youth wanted to prove themselves and obtain a higher ranking. At the start of the ranking competition, every genius youth who appeared on stage drew a flood of cheers. The 10 youths had undoubtedly become the 10 star figures of the Flaming Sun continent. That He Yiqing is really surprising. He actually fought with Nangong Huahua for such a long time. Yeah, this He Yiqing is probably going to be ranked 6th, the strongest expert among the rank 8 transcendents. Nangong Huahua lost to Zhou Hai. Zhou Hai defeated Qianjun. I didn't expect that. The finals are here. As the battle progressed, the audience looked at the battle on the stage with excitement. The final battle, Xiao Yu versus Zhou Hai. Zhou Hai was originally a very low-key person among the 5, but he didn't expect that he would fight all the way to the end. Both of them are at the peak of Transcendent Level 9. It will take at least 10 minutes to decide the victor. In the center of the viewing platform, the City Lord of Flaming Sun City and the Dean of Flaming Sun Academy looked at the duel in satisfaction. They represented the Flaming Sun region. They did not want to be ranked behind in the first prodigy tournament of the Dragon Phoenix Empire. It was very embarrassing to say that. Zhou Hai, you're not my match. The top prodigy of the Flaming Sun region is mine. It's time to break through. At this moment, 2 figures separated from each other in the fierce battle below. Xiao Yu suddenly laughed maniacally, and her aura began to rise rapidly. What? Zhou Hai's expression changed slightly when he saw Xiao Yu's aura increase greatly. You're going to break through. That's right. I was about to break through 2 days ago. Today, the time has come. I'll let you experience the power of a half-step void interpretation. Xiao Yu laughed maniacally, and with a movement, a terrifying power directly pressed down on Zhou Hai. Zhou Hai's expression changed greatly. The opponent's attack had doubled. With his strength, there was no way for him to block it. Boom! He gritted his teeth and received the opponent's punch. This time, his body was sent flying over 100 meters away. He felt a sweet taste in his mouth. What? Xiao Yu actually broke through. She actually reached the half-step void interpretation realm in the battle. My God, Xiao Yu actually broke through to the half-step void interpretation realm. This is simply too strong. When everyone around saw this scene, their faces were filled with shock. All of them stared at Xiao Yu with their eyes wide open. Good, half-step void interpretation, half-step void interpretation. On the main stage, the City Lord of Flaming Sun City and the Dean of Flaming Sun Academy saw this scene and revealed excited expressions as they laughed loudly. With a breakthrough, Xiao Yu would have the chance to compete for the title of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire's King of Geniuses. Xiao Yu! Xiao Yu! In the surrounding audience stands, those who supported Xiao Yu cheered excitedly. I admit defeat. Zhou Hai swallowed the blood in his mouth and said unwillingly. In the younger generation of the Flaming Sun continent, I, Xiaoye, am the strongest. I am the head of the chosen one. Xiaoye couldn't help but shout at the sky with excitement. In the entire Flaming Sun continent, he was the king of the younger generation. Domineering, Xiaoye is simply too domineering. This is the king of the younger generation of our Flaming Sun continent. Too cool, too cool. When the surrounding spectators saw the howling Xiaoye, all of them revealed smiles on their faces as they spoke in admiration. TSK, he's really a little arrogant. Such a heaven's favorite isn't considered a heaven's favorite. In a corner of the spectator stand, a youth said with slight disdain. These 10 youths are all pretty good. We'll recruit them over later. The old man said with a smile. Coming here this time was a pleasant surprise to him. Congratulations to the Dawn Moon Prodigy, the top prodigy of our Flaming Sun continent. He will lead the prodigies of our Flaming Sun continent to participate in the Dragon Phoenix Empire's prodigy competition. The remaining 9 prodigies will go up to the stage to receive their rewards. After wild cheers, the Flaming Sun Academy's dean stood up with a smile and said, It's the headmaster. One by one, the top 10 youths of the Flaming Sun continent flew onto the stage and enjoyed the brilliance of the attention of thousands of people. 10 youths stood in a row on the stage with strong confidence on their faces. 8 male students and 2 female students. Each person's face was filled with pride and pride. Today, you are the peerless geniuses of our Flaming Sun continent. The dean looked at the 10 young men in high spirits and shouted loudly. Absolute geniuses. Absolute geniuses. Around them, hundreds of thousands of spectators stood up and shouted in unison. Hee. They don't have the qualifications to be called absolute geniuses. The Dragon and Phoenix Empire also doesn't have the qualifications to hold the genius competition. What is a genius? Only those who use blood to fight their way out of the genius stage of the demi-human graveyard can be called a genius. All of you aren't qualified yet. At this moment, a mocking voice resounded in the surrounding sky, causing everyone to be slightly stunned. The youth from the Bloodstream sect slowly stood up. Chapter 1419. 1419, what was a chosen one? 5. All of you are not worthy yet. When the last sentence resounded in the sky above the competition ground, the noisy surroundings instantly quieted down. Everyone, a total of over 100,000 people, all looked towards the source of the voice. The youth from the Bloodstream sect stood there with a smile on his face. He did not pay any attention to the cold gazes of the people. Who is spouting nonsense here? On the stage, the tall and sturdy Qianjun looked at the young man with a cold expression. His eyes were filled with cold, killing intent. I'm not spouting nonsense. If I say that you're not worthy, then you're not worthy. At the very least, you're not worthy now. The young man laughed loudly. His body moved and he directly flew towards the stage. He was dressed in a black robe and wore a robe, looking incomparably carefree. Facing everyone's gazes, his expression was still incomparably calm. His body moved, and he directly stood on the highest stage, smiling as he looked at the 10 geniuses of the Flaming Sun continent. On the main viewing platform, the City Lord and the headmaster of the Flaming Sun Academy frowned slightly, and a cold light flashed in their eyes. However, when the Flaming Sun City Lord looked towards the direction where the young man was flying towards, he furrowed his brows slightly and his gaze flickered as he looked at the few middle-aged men and elders from the Bloodstream sect. Since you say that we aren't worthy of being called Heaven's Pride, then I would like to know what a Heaven's Pride is. Are you like this? Nangong Huahua giggled as she sized up the young man. A faint sneer flashed across her eyes. I don't deserve it. However, only someone like me can be called a Heaven's Pride. As Helion Hu spoke, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly as he spoke arrogantly. Arrogant. You said that we aren't worthy of being called a Heaven's Pride. Only you are worthy. Then I want to see what qualifications you have to be called a Heaven's Pride. On the arena, the face of the youth ranked 7th in the Flaming Sun continent revealed an ice-cold expression. As he spoke, his body moved, and like a gust of wind, he attacked Helion Hu. A trash who has just stepped into the 8th level of transcendence wants to challenge me. When Helion Hu saw the attacking youth, a disdainful expression appeared on his face. He waved his arm, and a gust of black wind directly swept towards him. What? When the black wind landed on the youth's body, his expression changed greatly, and a trace of fear appeared in his eyes. Bang! His entire body flew backward at an even faster speed. What? This is impossible. Ling Feng was actually killed in one move. That young man also looks very young. His strength is so strong. You have to know that even Qianjun and Zhou Hai couldn't kill Ling Feng so easily. What terrifying strength! Who is he? In the surrounding audience stands, when everyone saw Helion Hu instantly kill Ling Feng with a single move, all of their faces revealed shocked expressions. Just like this? He still dares to call himself a Heaven's Pride? Helion Hu watched Ling Feng fall heavily to the ground, and a trace of disdain and ridicule appeared on his face. You are too arrogant. The Blazing Sun Continent region's top Heaven's Pride competition's leader, Xiao Yu's gaze flickered as he stared at Helion Hu and coldly took 2 steps forward. With a move of his arm, a blue long sword appeared in his hand. Young Master Xiao Yu is going to make a move. Young Master Xiao Yu has broken through to half-step void interpretation. That kid actually dared to show off in front of young Master Xiao Yu and crippled him. He dares to say that our Dragon and Phoenix Empire doesn't have the qualifications to hold the Prodigy Tournament. Teach this kid a lesson. Young Master Xiao Yu, teach this guy who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth a lesson. In the surroundings, some of the spectators in the audience seats shouted loudly. City Lord. On the main viewing platform, the Flaming Sun Academy's principal frowned and shouted at the City Lord. Let's see what they want to do. The Flaming Sun City Lord's eyes flickered as he shook his head and watched with some solemnity. More than 20 of the most powerful experts of the younger generation in the city have just broken through to the half-step void interpretation realm. Your strength is still not bad. Helion Hu stared at Xiao Yu and commented indifferently, however, you're still a little bit away from becoming a Heaven's favorite. If you can receive intensive training in the future, you have a chance to become a Heaven's favorite. But for now, you're not qualified enough. If you want to challenge me, you're not qualified either. Come on, you so-called top 10 Heaven's favorites of the Flaming Sun Continent region, attack together. Don't say it, I won't give you a chance. Arrogant, arrogant guy. Let me tell you, this is not a place where you can be arrogant. You want to challenge all of us? Arrogant. As soon as Helion, whose words fell, the 10 young men of the Flaming Sun Continent region revealed angry expressions. Each of them instantly erupted with a terrifying aura and charged toward him. They were the 10 strongest people in the entire Flaming Sun Continent, yet they were actually looked down upon by others. How could they not be furious? One person wanted to challenge the 10 of them. Your tone is quite arrogant. If I defeat you, I alone will be enough. Xiao Yu's face was also filled with anger. Her body moved and the blue longsword in her hand directly stabbed towards him. To be honest, you don't even have the qualifications to challenge me. As Helion who spoke, a bone fan appeared in his hand. He waved his arm, and a black wind blew, directly facing Xiao Yu. You are the first one who dares to be arrogant in front of me. Xiao Yu's arm trembled, and several hundred densely packed blue water swords appeared around her. The long sword pierced through the air, emitting a sound like a waterfall. The 2 flying swords crossed together and rushed forward. You are just a frog at the bottom of a well. Helion who said with slight ridicule, and waved the bone fan in his hand several times. Roar! A fierce beast condensed from dark energy directly attacked the water swords. You have some skills. Seeing that his attack was easily blocked, Xiao Yu's heart slightly tightened. Divine ability, water moon in the sky. He shouted loudly, and a water-blue demonic blue crescent appeared in front of him. Ripples appeared on the crescent, and each ripple was like a sharp sword, directly attacking Helion Hu. Water moon in the sky, this is young Master Xiao Yu's famous divine ability. It will definitely be able to defeat the other party. Teach him a good lesson, let him know the consequences of being arrogant. Seeing Xiao Yu and the arrogant youth fighting fiercely, the spectators shouted loudly. Hee hee. The youth laughed disdainfully, waving the fan in his hand forward. Pitch-black spears pierced towards the crescent moon. Boom! A dull sound came from the collision. Following that, 2 pitch-black spears continued to attack Xiao Yu. What? Not good, Xiao Yu, be careful. The top 10 youths at the back quickly warned. Water seal. Cold sweat instantly appeared on Xiao Yu's forehead as streams of water formed a seal in front of him. The water seal completely enveloped him and protected him. Peng! The dark spears landed on the seal in front of him and the entire defense shook violently. His body could not help but retreat to the back. Crash! In the end, the water seal collapsed, and the dark spear only disappeared. Xiao Yu, be careful behind you. Be careful. However, just as Xiao Yu thought that she had difficulty dodging the other party's attack, a cry of surprise came from the side. Hee hee, I said that you are still far from it, far from it. Helion who was standing in front of him, arrogantly looked down at him and said condescendingly. At this moment, Xiao Yu, who was standing there motionlessly, had an incomparably pale face. He sensed behind him. A long dark spear stopped at the position of his back. A feeling of powerlessness surged into his heart. Chapter 1420. 1420. What was a prodigy? 6. This. Around the huge arena, when all the spectators saw Xiao Yu's back being pointed at by a black spear, their hearts tightened, and their faces revealed embarrassed expressions. This young man who came out to cause trouble had actually defeated Xiao Yu, the most outstanding young prodigy of their Flaming Sun Continent region. Moreover, he had defeated him so easily. I actually lost. Xiao Yu tightly clenched her fist, her expression unsightly as she stared at Helion Hu. Haha, the 10 of you together might be able to make me pay a little more attention, but you alone, hee hee. Helion Hu laughed lightly, his gaze sweeping over the 10 young prodigies of Xiao Yu, his face full of arrogance. This disciple of the Bloodstream sect, I wonder what your intention is in defeating the elites of the Flaming Sun Continent. Are you showing off your strength? On the main viewing platform, the Flaming Sun City Lord slowly stood up and asked Hellion who of the Bloodstream sect indifferently. HM? What? The Bloodstream sect? That young man is from the Bloodstream sect? The Bloodstream sect is a powerful sect in the demi-human graveyard. It can be ranked in the top 3 among all the sects and sects. What are the disciples of the Bloodstream sect doing here? When the City Lord of Flaming Sun City's voice rang out, everyone was slightly shocked. They stared at Hellion who with faces full of shock. This was because Flaming Sun City was only about 100,000 kilometers away from the demi-human graveyard. It wasn't too far away. They were still aware of a great sect like the Bloodstream sect. This was the true colossus within the demi-human graveyard. Even the current Dragon and Phoenix Empire was slightly weaker. Then let me introduce myself again. The Bloodstream sect, Hellion who is ranked 17th on the Prodigy roll. I also barely made it onto the Prodigy roll, unlike my senior brother, who is ranked 7th on the Prodigy roll. As Hellion who spoke, his gaze looked towards a remote spot on the stage. His words shocked everyone once again, and they looked towards the stage with faces full of shock. Meng Wenbing, ranked 7th on the Prodigy roll. A young man who looked somewhat old-fashioned streaked across a black shadow and directly landed beside Hellion who. Ranked 17th on the Prodigy roll, ranked 7th on the Prodigy roll, The Prodigy roll seems to be a ranking on the Prodigy stage in the demi-human graveyard. Those who can enter the Prodigy roll are all peerless prodigies. Everyone in the audience stared at Hellion who and the expressionless Meng Wenbing, their faces full of astonishment. What? You're only ranked 17th. On the arena, the 10 youths of the Flaming Sun continent stared at Hellion who, their faces revealing an embarrassed expression. He was only ranked 17th, but he was actually so terrifying. Then, that black-clothed youth who didn't speak at the side was ranked 7th. Wasn't he even more terrifying? This made Xiao Yu and the others' faces extremely unsightly. That's right, we are the true heaven's favorites. Hellion who saw their shocked expressions, and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. In your place, you can never think of becoming heaven's favorites. Only by going to the true heaven's favorites battlefield, to the Ladyboy graveyard, can you all become the true heaven's favorites. Just like the Prodigy competition held by the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. It would only make you laugh. If you really took it out, it would be a disgrace. His mocking voice resounded throughout the entire arena, and everyone could hear it clearly. This caused everyone's expressions to change slightly, and they felt somewhat embarrassed. They all knew that the Prodigy stage of the Transvestite tomb was the center of the entire Luhai region. As long as one ascended the Prodigy stage, they would become the prodigies of the entire region, the prodigies of the tens of billions of people. The current Prodigy competition held by the Dragon and Phoenix Empire was indeed on a different level from the Prodigy stage. Now that they were directly ridiculed by a prodigy on the Prodigy stage, their expressions kept changing. 2 members of the Bloodstream sect, watch your words. If you don't know what's good for you, I don't mind disciplining you elders. When the City Lord of Flaming Sun City heard Hellion whose words, he spoke directly with a cold face. City Lord of Flaming Sun City, did the disciples of our sect say something wrong? A loud laughter was heard, and the other 3 members of the Bloodstream sect flew directly into the sky. 3 middle-aged old men with white hair stood in the middle. He stared at the City Lord of Flaming Sun City with a face full of smiles. A faint power was emitted from their bodies. The 3 people floating in the sky suddenly appeared above everyone's heads like a huge mountain. This caused everyone's breathing to stop and shock appeared on their faces. This power feels even more terrifying than the City Lord. An old man muttered. The expression of the City Lord of Flaming Sun City changed slightly. Although he didn't know the 3 people from the Bloodstream sect, he could feel a terrifying power from their bodies. He wasn't a match for them. This caused the Flaming Sun City Lord's expression to become extremely grave. I wonder what your Bloodstream sect's large sect is doing in our Flaming Sun City. The Flaming Sun City Lord expressionlessly asked the old man. I'm just casually strolling around. I just happened to run into your competition. I feel that these 10 children aren't bad. The old man in the middle revealed a trace of a smile. His gaze swept over the 10 youths on the arena as he said with a smile. Oh, what do you mean? The Flaming Sun City Lord slightly narrowed his eyes as he stared at the 3 people from the Bloodstream sect. Our Bloodstream sect is currently recruiting disciples. The 10 children on the stage have the qualifications to enter the Bloodstream sect. I wonder if you are interested? The old man glanced at the Flaming Sun City Lord and the 10 people from the Daybreak Moon sect who landed on the stage at the end and suddenly said, "What?" The City Lord of Flaming Sun City was slightly startled. Even the 10 youths on the arena were completely stunned. They actually wanted to recruit them into the Bloodstream sect. This Bloodstream sect, we are citizens of the Dragon Phoenix Empire. They are the elites of our Dragon Phoenix Empire. They are not people that you can recruit just because you want to. The City Lord of Flaming Sun City growled in a low voice with a gloomy expression. Our Bloodstream sect is a sect. It has nothing to do with your dynasty. Moreover, our Bloodstream sect is a top sect in the Human Demon Graveyard. If you join us, we will give you more resources. The old man laughed and glanced at the young people of Daybreak Moon and the others. The true chosen ones can only be born in our Bloodstream sect. The Bloodstream sect actually wants to recruit Xiaoye and the others. This is the Bloodstream sect. I never thought that they would actually want to recruit Xiaoye and the others. In the audience stands, everyone watched this scene in astonishment. The experts of the Bloodstream sect actually personally invited them to join the Bloodstream sect. This was the Bloodstream sect. What is a Heaven's Pride? If you stay here, you will never be able to become a Heaven's Pride. Only by joining our Bloodstream sect and stepping onto the Heaven's Pride stage will you be a true Heaven's Pride. Staying here is just like a frog at the bottom of a well. Hellion, who stared at Xiao Yu and the others with a face full of smiles and said with a smile. Hellion, whose words made the 10 people's faces full of emotion. They were able to become the top 10 of the Flaming Sun continent region at such a young age. Which one of them did not have the heart of a powerhouse? They also wanted to become a true Heaven's Pride that looked down on the current generation. They also wanted to be as powerful as Hellion, who, or even more powerful than him. The Bloodstream sect was such a powerful sect's invitation, so they were naturally extremely moved. On the main viewing platform, the Flaming Sun City Lord saw the 10 hesitant young men, and his expression changed slightly. His expression was somewhat unsightly. The Bloodstream sect was a top-tier large sect that had personally invited them and used the name of a Heaven's Pride to entice them. Which young man wouldn't be moved? A Heaven's favorite? What's a Heaven's favorite? If I say you're a Heaven's favorite, you're a Heaven's favorite. Suddenly, a proud voice resounded through the sky. Chapter 1421. 1421 1421. Whoever I say is a chosen one will go up. A chosen one? What is a chosen one? If I say you are a chosen one, you are a chosen one. The arrogant voice was filled with confidence and arrogance. These words that everyone heard were extremely arrogant and entered everyone's ears. The voice caused everyone to be stunned. So arrogant. I said you are a Heaven's favorite, and you are a Heaven's favorite. What arrogance? Everyone looked towards the source of the sound. They wanted to know who it was that had such a tone. When Wang Xian saw everyone looking over, he flew towards the arena with a smile on his face. Feng Wan and a group of girls followed behind and flew towards the arena. That is? The City Lord of Flaming Sun City, who was standing on the main stage, saw the figures of Wang Xian and the rest. He stared at Feng Wan and his expression changed slightly. The dean of Flaming Sun Academy, who was standing at the side, also widened his eyes. The two of them did not hesitate at all and flew towards the arena. "Your Majesty!" The two of them landed in front of Feng Wan in the air. They bowed and greeted her respectfully. "What? Her Majesty the Queen? The Queen of our Dragon Phoenix dynasty?" The words of the Flaming Sun City Lord and the Flaming Sun Academy's Dean caused everyone's faces to reveal shock. "Greetings, Your Majesty the Queen." Some experts from the Flaming Sun City's families immediately stood up from the viewing platform and bowed as they called out, "Greetings, Your Majesty the Queen." When all the citizens saw their queen, they also hurriedly stood up and bowed as they called out, "I've always heard that Her Majesty visited US incognito. I didn't expect that she would actually come to our Flaming Sun City." Everyone knew about this legendary queen, especially in the past few months. The story of the queen visiting the city incognito, destroying the city lord, beheading the unscrupulous family, and serving the country and the people spread to every city. What they didn't expect was that Her Majesty had actually come to Flaming Sun City. "Greetings, Your Majesty the Queen." The 10 youths on the arena immediately half knelt on the ground. The people of Feng Wan and the others, who had faces full of shock, as well as the owner of the arrogant words. Wasn't this the group of people on the shore of Flaming Sun Lake that day? "All subjects, rise." Feng Wan stood in the air, her hands slightly floating, and her voice entered everyone's ears. "It's the Queen." The city lord of Flaming Sun City took the lead and said, "The Dragon and Phoenix Queen." The elder from the Bloodstream sect slightly raised his brows when he saw the sudden appearance of Queen Feng Wan. "Everyone from the Bloodstream sect, this is our Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. You have crossed the line by coming here to recruit disciples." Feng Wan looked at the elder in the center and said coldly. At first, they were a little surprised when they saw a young man suddenly come out to cause trouble. When they saw that the Bloodstream sect was actually here to steal their genius young man, they naturally couldn't sit idly by. Dragon Phoenix Queen, our Bloodstream sect is a sect, not a dynasty. There are no restrictions on the recruitment of disciples by the sect." The white-haired old man in the middle laughed loudly. "I don't care what sect you are from. This is the place for our Dragon and Phoenix Dynasty's prodigy competition. You are here to seduce our competition disciples. You are courting death." Mang Hong's body instantly erupted with a fierce aura as he directly charged toward the 3 people from the Bloodstream sect. "Hee, don't be so violent." The white-haired elder in the center felt the aura from Mang Hong's body. He waved his arm, and an imposing aura directly struck back. 5th level of the Profound Void tier. Mang Hong's expression changed greatly, and so did the expressions of the surrounding spectators. What? 5th level of the Profound Void tier. Any old man from the Bloodstream sect is already a 5th level of the Profound Void tier. Heavens, how can he be so strong? What a terrifying old man! Everyone around exclaimed. Even the Flaming Sun City Lords and the others' expressions changed greatly. On the arena, the 10 people of Daybreak looked at the white-haired old man in shock, their eyes flickering. "Hee, the prodigy competition? The prodigies that you have conferred cannot be called prodigies. Prodigies are honed and cannot be selected from the competition." The white-haired old man said indifferently, his gaze fixed on the 10 people of Daybreak and the others on the arena. "Only by joining my Bloodstream sect will you have a chance to become true prodigies." This caused the expressions of the 10 people from Daybreak Moon sect to change continuously. They were slightly moved. A heaven's favorites, whoever I say is. When Wang Xian heard the old man say the word heaven's favorites again, he laughed out loud and said it again. If you say so, then so be it. You sure have a big mouth." When Helian, who heard Wang Xian's arrogant words, he glared at him and said with a cold smile, "You think too highly of yourself. The middle-aged man behind the white-haired old man stared at Wang Xian coldly and spat out 4 words. The 17th on the Heaven's Pride roll? When Wang Xian heard Helian Hu's words, a faint smile appeared on his face. With a flick of his finger, a gray dot of light shot towards him. How dare you attack me? You are courting death. When Helian Hu saw a young man who was about the same age as him attacking him, a hint of killing intent flashed across his eyes. He waved the bone fan in his hand, and the dark energy instantly condensed into a fierce beast, directly attacking the gray light spot. Not good. Be careful. Meng Wenbing, who had been expressionless the whole time, saw the gray light spot, and his face changed greatly as he warned. Helian Hu's pupils also slightly shrank. Peng peng peng. When the gray light spot landed on the fierce beast condensed by the dark energy instantly dissipated. When the gray light landed on the bone fan in his hand, the fan collapsed instantly. Finally, the light landed on his body, causing him to fly backward. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his face was extremely pale. 7th on the prodigy roll? Wang Xian looked at him expressionlessly. With a flick of his finger, he launched another attack at Meng Wenbing. Meng Wenbing had a serious expression on his face. With a move of his hands, a dark disc appeared in his hands. Bang! When the gray light spot landed on the dark disc, Meng Wenbing was horrified. The dark disc collapsed instantly. When the gray light spot landed on his body, he was sent flying and spat out blood. You are courting death. How dare you attack the elite disciples of our bloodstream sect? The expression of a middle-aged man behind the white-haired old man changed drastically. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. An aura of the 3rd level of the see-through realm burst out instantly. A golden longsword appeared in his hand. 3rd level of the see-through realm. Wang Xian remained expressionless as he flicked his finger. The gray specks of light attacked the middle-aged man again. You are courting death. When the middle-aged man saw Wang Xian's contemptuous expression, he roared furiously. The long sword in his hand slashed directly at the specks of light. Bang! However, just like Helian Hu and Meng Wenbing, the long sword collapsed and the gray light spots landed on his body. His eyes were wide open and filled with disbelief. The powerful attack made him spit out blood. You are the nameless sword demon. The other middle-aged man behind the white-haired elder suddenly widened his eyes and exclaimed. Chapter 1422. 1422. When I say who is a Heaven's Pride expert, who is in the middle? You are the nameless sword demon. A cry of surprise came from the middle-aged man's mouth, causing the pupils of the old man in front of the middle-aged man to constrict slightly. The body of the middle-aged man and Helian Hu Meng Wenbing, who were lying on the ground, trembled. Their eyes were wide open, filled with disbelief. They had only rushed up to the Heaven's Pride ranking this year. They had never seen the true appearance of the nameless sword demon before. But they knew that there was a mountain on the prodigy roll. At the age of less than 30, he had ascended the prodigy roll, defeated the leader of the demonic beasts at the 2nd level of the Insight Void tier, and ascended to the supreme prodigy. Later, before the nameless sword devil left, he did something that shook the entire demi-demon graveyard. He killed the 5th level of the Insight Void tier, Bing Hanzi. This was the leader of the prodigies, the nameless sword devil. This was an existence that all the heaven's favorites looked up to, an existence that all the heaven's favorites could not hope to reach. Even if all the other heaven's favorites on the so-called heaven's favorites list were added together, they would not be able to instantly kill the nameless sword demon. Nameless sword demon, what is this? When some people around heard this exclamation, they frowned slightly. Some people were very confused by these 4 words. However, some of them were stunned. Their expressions kept changing as they stared at the people below. Nameless sword demon? What else? When Wang Xian saw that the middle-aged man recognized him, A faint smile appeared on his face as he asked mockingly. Nameless sword demon. Nameless heaven's pride. The supreme heaven's pride. The unrivaled young king who looked down on the present generation. I didn't expect it, I didn't expect it. In the arena, Meng Wenbing, who was knocked down by Wang Xian with a flick of his finger, had a burning look in his eyes. He stood up slowly and his body was trembling. His eyes were filled with admiration as he mumbled. Nameless sword demon? Unrivaled prodigy. Supreme prodigy. The unrivaled young king who looked down on the current generation. Stunned, the 10 youths from the waning moon heard Meng Wenbing mumble. Their eyes were burning with worship, and their faces were filled with shock. This was a peerless prodigy ranked 7th on the prodigy roll. They didn't know how strong 7th on the prodigy roll was, but Helion who was ranked 17th on the prodigy roll, had easily defeated them, making them feel powerless. The 7th-ranked Heaven's Pride roll was even more terrifying. However, looking at the way he worshipped them, they were in a daze. However, when they saw the 3rd-ranked see-through void martial artist who had fallen to the ground with a flick of his finger, they had some understanding in their hearts. The unrivaled young king who looked down on the current generation? Is there such a title? When Wang Xian heard Meng Wenbing mumbling, he was slightly stunned. He had such an amazing title. Not bad, not bad. However, what Wang Xian didn't know was that the name of the nameless sword demon represented the pinnacle of heaven's favorites. Which young heaven's favorites in the current era didn't have the nameless sword demon as their idol? Some fans even claimed that the nameless sword demon could even look down on the current era in the entire transcendental continent, not to mention in the flowing sea region. Hence, there was an additional title later on. He was the young king who looked down on the current generation. Nameless sword demon. The city lord of Flaming Sun City and the dean of Flaming Sun Academy were muttering to themselves. A name suddenly appeared in their minds. Lord Wang, I didn't expect you and Her Majesty the Queen to come here together. The city lord of Flaming Sun City and the rest immediately bowed respectfully to Wang Xian. Lord Wang. Some of the experts from the families of Flaming Sun City muttered as their pupils contracted slightly. The title of Lord Wang was very famous in the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. The families with some strength knew that the Dragon Phoenix dynasty was able to develop to this stage not because of the Queen of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. Although the Queen of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty was ambitious and her strength had reached the 5th level of the Void Interpretation realm. The rapid rise of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty was all thanks to this Lord Wang. In Xiaoyao City, 2 5th-level profound Void Martial Stage cultivators were killed and the entire Xiaoyao City was destroyed. In the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, the real power was this Lord Wang's faction. His Majesty the Queen only had a very good relationship with him. Of course, they could only make guesses in secret as to whether they were lovers or not. Nameless sword demon, nameless heaven's favorite, supreme heaven's favorite. I remember now. Lord Wang is actually a supreme heaven's favorite. Oh my God! On the arena, Nangong Huahua suddenly stared at Wang Xian with burning eyes as she said excitedly. Huahua? A few young men who didn't know looked at her in confusion. First place on the Heaven's Pride ranking in the demi-human graveyard. First place on the demonic beast Heaven's Pride ranking as his mount. He killed a level 5 see-through void martial artist. Nangong Huahua said quickly. What? This? If they didn't know the significance of being number 1 on the prodigy roll, then killing a level 5 insightful void martial artist, they knew what it meant. Killing a level 5 insightful void martial artist. Xiao Yu swallowed a mouthful of saliva, his forehead full of cold sweat. This reminded him of 2 days ago, when he arrogantly wanted to spar with him. This fuck, he was courting death. I didn't expect little brother nameless sword demon to be from the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. The white-haired old man's expression changed slightly as well. He took a deep breath and spoke slowly. He didn't dare to be unreasonable in the face of Wang Xian, who could kill a genius at level 5 of the see-through void tier. His current attitude was better than when he was facing Feng Luan. What is a heaven's pride? Wang Xian glanced at the white-haired old man and ignored him. He floated in the sky and looked at the 10 young men and everyone around him. Then he asked loudly. Everyone looked at Wang Xian in unison. There was shock and respect in their eyes. Heaven's pride is it? Whoever I say is a heaven's pride will be a heaven's pride. The top 10 in the Heaven's Pride competition held by the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. If I say they are Heaven's Pride, they are. An overbearing voice entered everyone's ears. When the white-haired old man saw that Wang Xian was ignoring him, his face darkened slightly and he looked a little cold. But at this moment, a black longsword appeared in front of Wang Xian. This is the demon-free sword. I used this sword in the human-demon graveyard to suppress the current generation. The champion of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire's Heaven's Favorites competition this time, I will gift this sword to him. The no-demon sword hovered in the air. It was just a simple void-piercing sword. However, this was the sword that the nameless sword demon had once used. No-demon sword. Meng Wenbing's eyes were burning as he stared at the black sword. In the eyes of the prodigies of the demi-human graveyard, this sword was a divine sword. This is so domineering. Prodigy, is this the supreme prodigy? This is too awesome, I even have the urge to submit. If I say that you are a heaven's pride, you are. Damn it, do you have to be so awesome? When everyone heard Wang Xian's words, they gulped and felt a little crazy. Perhaps this was the spirit of a king. However, with Lord Wang's status, whoever he says is a heaven's pride will be his. No one dares to refute him, because no one has the qualifications. Some of the powerhouses murmured. The white-haired elder pursed his lips and looked a little embarrassed. This person from the Bloodstream sect, do you have any objections? Wang Xian suddenly looked at the white-haired elder and asked. At the same time, he flicked his finger. A gray ball of light directly attacked him. Chapter 1423. 1423 1423. Whoever I say is the chosen one will be the next. He flicked his finger. It was still an ordinary flick of his finger. Just now, with a flick of Wang Xian's finger, Helian who was ranked 17th on the prodigy roll, was sent flying. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Meng Wenbing, who was ranked 7th on the prodigy roll, was sent flying. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Even an expert from the Bloodstream sect, who was at the 3rd level of the see-through void tier, was sent flying and spat out a mouthful of blood. Now, he flicked his finger again. However, the target this time was the white-haired elder. Everyone knew clearly about the strength of the white-haired elder. He was a top expert at level 5 of the see-through. When everyone saw that Wang Xian was actually attacking the white-haired elder with the same attack, they were all in a daze. Wasn't this a little too arrogant? Huh? When the white-haired old man from the Bloodstream sect saw that Wang Xian was attacking him with his fingers, his expression changed slightly. His expression turned gloomy instantly as a hint of anger flashed in his eyes. Nameless sword demon, you are too arrogant. He said with a cold expression as he stared at the fist-sized gray energy that was attacking him. Buzz! His arm moved and a white skull appeared in his hand. The white-haired old man moved his arm and a skull shadow directly charged towards the gray energy. The skull looked like it came from hell and was filled with gloom and terror. It was lifelike and extremely strange. This nameless sword demon is simply too arrogant. Even if you are as monstrous as a demon, it's completely impossible for you to defeat our Grand Elder with just a flick of your finger. Arrogant. Do you really think that you can wipe out the world with just one move? Our Grand Elder is on the same level as you. The two middle-aged men from the Bloodstream sect watched as the Grand Elder took out his artifact and spoke with an ugly expression on their faces. Boom! The shadow of the dark black skeleton collided with the gray ball, resulting in a terrifying collision. Roar, roar! Suddenly, a terrifying roar came from within the dark skull. One. Just when everyone thought that something unexpected had happened, the roaring skull actually slowly dissipated. The gray ball continued to attack the white-haired old man. What? The white-haired old man's expression changed drastically, and the pale white skull in his hands was directly aimed in front of him. Ghost devour! He let out a low roar, and a 10-meter-large ghost instantly appeared on the pale white skull. The ghost emitted a ghastly and terrifying aura, causing everyone within a few kilometers to instantly feel their scalps go numb. Jia jia! The ghost let out a strange cry and tore towards the gray ball. One. Jia 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 jia! The ghost's sharp claws landed on the gray ball, emitting a ghastly sound. This is impossible. However, under the incredulous gazes of the two middle-aged men from the Bloodstream sect, the ghost slowly dissipated. The white-haired old man's gaze also focused. His pupils constricted slightly, and his eyes were filled with shock. The ghost quickly disappeared. He stretched out his hands and grabbed the pale white skeleton. Door of darkness. A door of darkness filled with runes appeared in front of him. Bang! The gray ball landed on the door of darkness, emitting a terrifying collision sound. The collision in an instant actually almost caused the door of darkness to crack open. The white-haired old man's body shook, and dark energy surged towards the door of darkness. He stared at the gray ball in front of him, and his heart was extremely shaken. The terrifying power caused his body to fly backwards. After flying backward for 100 meters, the gray ball dissipated. The white-haired old man raised the door of darkness in his hand with an embarrassed expression. Hiss! The sound of gasps reverberated throughout the entire area. Everyone watched this scene in a daze. With a flick of his finger, the powerful 5th-level insightful void martial artist was only able to block it with 3 moves. Furthermore, under Wang Xian's casual attack, his body was forced back by more than 100 meters. Although he wasn't injured, the huge gap left everyone in shock. It was so terrifying. Do you have any objections? Wang Xian continued to stare at the white-haired old man with a calm expression and asked, Whoever I say is a heaven's favorite is a heaven's favorite. Do you have any objections? The incomparably domineering aura caused the white-haired old man's expression to change drastically. He is definitely not an ordinary 5th-level void interpretation. In fact, he has already reached it. The white-haired elder looked at the indifferent Wang Xian and his heart trembled. If this person in front of him had really reached that level, then the Bloodstream sect coming to the Dragon and Phoenix Empire to snatch him away was simply courting death. Phew! The white-haired elder took a deep breath. Among the younger generation in the world, the only peerless heaven's favorite is the nameless sword demon. If you say that there are prodigies in this world, then there are prodigies in this world. If you say that there are no prodigies in this world, then there are no prodigies in this world. As he spoke, he slowly cupped his fists and bowed slightly. Respect. Boom. The entire audience of more than 100,000 was in an uproar. Oh my God, the white-haired elder from the Bloodstream sect actually said such a thing. If you say that there are heaven's favorites in the world, then there are heaven's favorites in the world. If you say that there are no heaven's favorites in the world, then there are no heaven's favorites in the world. This evaluation. I'm going to kneel down and speak. Gulp, is this our Dragon Phoenix dynasty's Lord Wang? This is simply heaven-defying. All heaven's favorites are decided by Lord Wang? One by one, the citizens stood up with their faces flushed red, their bodies slightly trembling. How strong was this Lord Wang to be able to make a powerhouse at level 5 of the see-through realm say such words? The 4 people from the Bloodstream sect were also looking at their Grand Elder in shock. They were very clear about the temper of the Grand Elder. Now, he actually said such words to a young man. This was no longer as simple as facing a powerhouse of the same level. Could it be? The eyes of the 4 of them sparkled, and their breathing was a little hurried. This was especially so for Meng Wenbing. His burning eyes were staring at Wang Xian with even more admiration. This tall mountain was even taller and bigger. Is this our Dragon and Phoenix Empire's Lord Wang? The supreme prodigy. Whoever he says is a prodigy will be a prodigy. The 10 young men from Daybreak Moon looked at Wang Xian, who was floating in the sky from the arena. Their faces were filled with yearning. This was a true Heaven's Pride expert. He was able to make experts from powerful sects bow down to him. The Dragon and Phoenix Empire's Heaven's Pride expert competition has Lord Wang overseeing it. This is a true Heaven's Pride expert competition. Feng Wan also looked at Wang Xian with slight astonishment. She didn't expect that Wang Xian would actually make a name for himself as a supreme Heaven's Pride expert and so on. With Lord Wang around, the Heaven's Pride expert competition is the Heaven's Pride expert competition. Disciples of our Flaming Sun continent region, don't lose face for the Flaming Sun continent region. The city lord of Flaming Sun City roared in a low voice, his eyes burning with passion. Yes, we will definitely give it our all in the Prodigy tournament. The 10 people of Daybreak Moon City bowed and roared loudly. Their eyes were filled with fighting spirit. They looked at Wang Xian in awe, their eyes filled with determination. They wanted Lord Wang's approval. At this moment, Daybreak Moon realized that she was like an ant. Fortunately, Lord Wang did not haggle with him. He also wanted to be recognized by Lord Wang's proud son of heaven. Chapter 1424. Nameless Chosen One. A Supreme Chosen One. With a flick of his finger, even the supreme elders of the Bloodstream sect had to go all out to deal with him. Just how strong is Lord Wang? Did you guys notice just now that Meng Wenbing's Chosen One was ranked 7th? His eyes were filled with worship as he looked at Lord Wang. He was almost going to kneel down. Our Lord Wang is a peerless Heaven's favorite who can suppress the same generation. Not to mention the same generation, even the older generation can't compare to our Lord Wang. The champion prize of this Heaven's favorite competition is the demon-free sword that Lord Wang once used. It would be great if I could get it. In the arena, the hundreds of thousands of spectators watched Wang Xian and their queen's departing figure as they spoke with faces full of shock. What happened today was shocking to all of them. The mysterious Lord Wang of their dynasty was actually the supreme Heaven's favorite on the Heaven's favorite list in the tomb of the transvestite. He even swept through everyone in the Bloodstream sect in a domineering manner. Even the supreme elder of the Bloodstream sect bowed and submitted. He was even more domineering when he said that whoever was the Heaven's favorite would be the Heaven's favorite. Such a monstrous appearance was imprinted in everyone's mind. The strength of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire had also exceeded everyone's expectations. I didn't expect you to make such a big name in the year that you left. In the mayor's residence, Feng Wan looked at Wang Xian with a smile and said, "Ha, it's fine, it's fine." Wang Xian smiled smugly. "Your strength has broken through again." Feng Wan looked at him and thought of how she almost caught the Grand Elder of the Bloodstream sect with a flick of her finger. She asked with a twinkle in her eyes, "I'm stronger than you." The corner of Wang Xian's mouth curled up slightly. "Look at you, you're still acting arrogant. Lord Supreme Heaven's Pride, have you been fooling around in the tomb of the demi-human?" Guan Shuqing and the other girls stared at him and asked with unfriendly gazes. "No, how is that possible?" Wang Xian shook his head immediately. "Sister Fengying, you met him in the cemetery. You tell him." The girls obviously didn't believe that a young man who was known as the Almighty wouldn't be fooling around. There was a girl who was on good terms with him and even confessed to him. As Zhang Fengying spoke, Wang Xian instantly felt waves of murderous gazes. I'm so outstanding. It's normal for someone to pursue me. I didn't agree to it. If you don't believe me, you can ask Fengying if I didn't agree to it. Wang Xian was extremely eager to survive as he spoke hurriedly. However, the few girls clearly didn't believe in his character. This was especially so for Sun Lingxiu, Ajaya, and Tang Yinxian. Speaking of which, the three of them were met by Wang Xian when he was away from home. And that was how it ended. The last time he left for more than a year, it was hard to say if he brought Zhang Fengying along with him. Your Majesty, Lord Wang, the 5 people from the Bloodstream sect are here to pay a visit. At this moment, it was fortunate that the city lord of Flaming Sun City walked in and changed the topic. Bloodstream sect? Let them come over. Feng Yuan nodded her head with a slightly cold expression and spoke to Flaming Sun City. It's Her Majesty the Queen. Flaming Sun City Lord nodded. Soon, the Bloodstream sect's Grand Elder and the other 5 people walked in. Dragon Phoenix Queen, Lord Wang, sorry to disturb you. The 5 people led by the white-haired old man walked in and cupped their hands at them. Everyone from the Bloodstream sect, isn't it a bit too much to snatch people from our Dragon Phoenix Dynasty's competition grounds? Feng Yuan sat in the middle and looked at the white-haired elder as she questioned him faintly. Dragon and Phoenix Queen, it's our Bloodstream sect's fault for being reckless this time. We have offended you. The white-haired elder bowed and looked at Wang Xian and Feng Yuan as he apologized. He lowered his stance very much. He was filled with shock towards Wang Xian's strength and the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. The current situation of the demi-human cemetery was uncertain. If they were to offend the Dragon Phoenix Empire, which possessed the combat strength of level 6 of the Void Interpretation stage, it would definitely be extremely bad news for their Bloodstream sect. Oh, your Bloodstream sect is also a great sect. If you want to recruit disciples, you wouldn't need the Grand Supreme Elder to come and snatch them personally, right? Wang Xian looked at the white-haired old man's sincere look and asked curiously. The white-haired old man's strength was considered top-notch even in the graveyard of demi-humans. The reason why he could only receive 3 moves with a flick of his finger was because he had just broken through and his arm had been modified. After breaking through to the 2nd level of the Void Interpretation realm and comprehending the Dragon Kingdom in the Aspect Palm, his arm had received a huge improvement. This was why he was able to make the white-haired old man fight with all his might with a single finger. However, what made him curious was that such a powerful sect's Supreme Elder, the strongest expert, actually came here to snatch people. The general trend is changing, and our Bloodstream sect has no choice but to make preparations in advance. The white-haired old man smiled bitterly and said with a somewhat solemn expression. The general trend is changing. Feng Yuan revealed a surprised expression and gestured for them to sit down. The demonic beast race in the human-demon graveyard has undergone a huge change. There are demonic beast races that want to establish an empire. The white-haired elder said with a sullen face. Establish an empire. Feng Yuan was slightly taken aback. Once the demonic beasts unite and develop, their strength won't be weaker than humans, or even stronger. The 10,000 Demon Empire is a good example. Tens of millions of demonic beasts, when they fight, they can destroy cities and overturn seas. It will be fine if they stabilize and grow up. It will be better if they are on good terms with humans. However, if they are evil to humans, it will be a bloodbath. It will be even bloodier than the current human-demon graveyard. The white-haired elder nodded slowly. A worried look appeared on his face. Most importantly, the blood barbaric demonic beasts are the strongest now. Blood barbaric demon beasts? Wang Xian and Feng Yuan frowned slightly. The blood barbaric demon beasts had always fed on the fresh blood of humans and beasts. They were bloodthirsty as if their lives depended on it. If they were to unify the demon beasts in the human-demon graveyard, it would definitely not be good news for humans. What are the reactions of the few big countries in the human demon graveyard now? Feng Yuan asked with a frown. There's no action yet. The Blood Flow Empire is preparing to gather the strength of all the dynasties in the Flowing Sea region. We can't let them establish an empire. The white-haired elder said. Feng Yuan slowly nodded, her eyes flickering. Dragon and Phoenix Queen, if the Demon Beast clan really establishes an empire, it will have a greater impact on the various dynasties. Naturally, it will also have a great impact on our sect. Why don't we form an alliance? The white-haired old man looked at her and said with a smile. An alliance? Of course, there's no problem with that. As for how to form an alliance, we still need to discuss. Feng Yuan nodded. Young Master Wang Xian, is your strength now? The white-haired old man nodded with a smile on his face. He looked at Wang Xian and said. Before he could finish his sentence, he continued, Young Master Wang Xian, it would be even better if you can contact the Light Dragon Empire and Sky Sword Sect. Light Dragon Dynasty? Sky Sword Sect? Feng Yuan looked at Wang Xian in confusion. The crown prince of the Light Dragon Dynasty was supported by young Master Wang. The only beloved daughter of the sect leader of Sky Sword Sect has a close relationship with young Master Wang. If we can pull these two forces together, the strength of our alliance will not be weaker than the Blood Flow Empire. The white-haired old man said with a smile on his face. However, very soon he realized that the atmosphere around him had changed. Wang Xian's face turned black as he glared at the white-haired old man. Damn it. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.